minutes before drinking the body potion. But now at 60 minutes, is it really that strong? I'll try it when I have a girlfriend, Kanada. Kinja inus omega Kanada, kinja inus. Thinking of this, Muzaya Omo realized that his little brother was not very obedient, so he quickly changed his attention and continued to shower. 10 minutes later, he came out wrapped in a bath towel. At this moment, Bai Yuntao had returned from the infirmary, but his face was still wrapped in gauze, making him look like a mummy. Upon seeing Muzaya Omo, Bai Yuntao was slightly taken aback. Sigh, how come Muzaya Omo seemed to have grown taller while he was taking a shower? Although 3 centimeters is not tall, it is quite noticeable. Noticing Bai Yuntao's gaze, Muzaya Omo was slightly taken aback, fearing that he wanted to challenge him to a sword fight. What's wrong? Why are you looking at me? I don't have any money on my face. Chapter 34, Hero Saves the Beauty. Are they really best friends? No, no. Bai Yunta looked Muzaya Omo up and down. Brother Mo, after you took a shower, I noticed that you've got a lot taller. Huh? Muzaya Omo was slightly taken aback. Indeed, after drinking the body-enhancing potion, his height had indeed increased from 182 to 185. 3 centimeters is still quite noticeable. However, he couldn't explain it, so he just waved his hand and said, You must have misread it. I've always been this tall. Don't overthink it. Go take a shower and get some rest today to prepare for military training. 2. Bai Yuntao didn't ask any further questions. He probably just misread it. After all, who can grow several centimeters a day? After getting into bed, Muzaya Omo turned on his phone and discovered he suddenly had a lot of people adding him on WeChat. And all of these profile pictures seemed to be of girls. Curious, Muzaya Omo clicked in and found that it was true, and most of the comments said they were from the journalism class 1. Muzaya Omo was completely bewildered. The main thing is, he didn't reveal his WeChat ID just now. Could it be that I've been hacked? Just as Muzaya Omo was deep in thought, the dormitory door was kicked open with a bang. It startled her. Bai Yuntao, Du Yang, and Muzaya Omo all looked towards the door to see which idiot it was. Then Huang Wenxu excitedly ran in. With an excited smile on his face, he strode in with an arrogant air, plopped down in a chair, and then smugly said to Du Yang, Old Yang, guess whether I got Han Simio's WeChat or not. Upon hearing this, Du Yang frowned. This guy wouldn't be so excited if he hadn't gotten it. Could it be that he really got it? He murmured, Is it? Is it almost there? Absolutely. Huang Wenxu slapped his thigh and said excitedly, After Brother Zio Mo reminded me, I ran into Han Simio after only a few steps. Then I gritted my teeth and went over to her to ask for her WeChat. Upon hearing this, Du Yang asked, and then, Of course it was for me, but... The girls around her made a small request. What small request? Huang Wenxu looked up at Muzaya Omo on the bed. Han Simio's classmate said that if I gave him Muzaya Omo's WeChat ID, he could add Han Simio. So I gave him his WeChat ID, and now I've added Han Simio. Buff! Du Yang burst out laughing. He had a feeling that Huang Wenxu was being used. Muzaya Omo was completely dumbfounded after hearing this. Damn, you can play it like this. No wonder so many people added him on WeChat. It turns out that bastard Huang Wenxu betrayed him. Huang Wenxu chuckled. Brother Mo, this isn't a bad thing. You can chat with them. You know, women who throw themselves at you are the easiest to get together with for a hotel room. And Muzaya Omo rolled her eyes. Get lost, get lost. Do you think I'm thinking about such filthy things? Isn't that so? Huang Wenxu chuckled. All right, I'm not going to argue with you anymore. I'm going to chat with my little sister Han. Huang Wenxu grabbed the bed railing, climbed the ladder onto the bed, lay down, took out his phone, and sent a message to Han Simio. Little Han, your dance today was really beautiful. As soon as I pressed send, a red exclamation mark appeared in front of the bubble. Han Meimei has enabled friend verification. You are not yet her friend, please. Seeing the message on the screen, Huang Wenxu felt as if he had been struck by lightning. Did I delete him? Huang Wenxu's face immediately darkened. Damn it, how come he felt like he had been tricked by Han Simio? Damn it, I got Muzaya Omo's WeChat, and then deleted him. Blanche. Meanwhile, Muzaya Omo, lying in bed, completely ignored these friend requests. He is a devoted man, and mature women like Mu Baining are no better than these underdeveloped little girls. Just then, WeChat received another plea from a friend. Muzaya Omo's face darkened. Is this ever going to stop? Why do you keep adding me? Etc. After clicking in, Muzaya Omo discovered that the person who added him was actually Mu Baining's best friend, Liu Weiwei. He frowned. What was going on? Why did Liu Weiwei add him on WeChat? Could it be that she was also swayed by her own good looks? hissed Tilda. Thinking of this, Omo couldn't help but gasp. No way, no way. Liu Weiwei wouldn't have fallen for him too, would she? She's Mu Baining's best friend. Are they really going to break off their friendship over his handsome man? Wrong. Omo shook her head. Damn it, he's getting a bit narcissistic. What is he thinking? Omo quickly pressed accept. Not long after, Liu Weiwei sent her a message. Hello, Omo, I'm Liu Weiwei, the counselor of robotics class 2. I'm Ning Ning's roommate. We met at the infirmary and playground today. Upon seeing this sentence, Omo took a deep breath. This opening line was all right. It seemed she wasn't trying to steal him from Mu Baining. So Omo asked, Hello, Professor Liu, may I ask what you need me for? Of course. Then Liu Weiwei sent him 2 photos. The photo shows a piece of draft paper with his name written on the blank areas. The other one looks like his profile. After seeing these 2 photos, Omo was completely devastated. Liu Weiwei wrote his name and even drew his profile. Could it be that she really has feelings for him, just as he thinks? He replied with 3 question marks, and only after seeing Liu Weiwei's reply did Omo finally relax. This is your name and a picture that Ning Ning wrote when she was writing her lesson plan a few days ago. Actually, Ning Ning already has feelings for you. Do you need me to help you 2 establish a relationship as soon as possible? Omo was slightly taken aback. So Liu Weiwei was here to help them make a connection. She's such a good person. Omo agreed without hesitation, since it was a good thing for him. He asked, sure, but how do I do it? Let me think about it, Tilda. Liu Weiwei started to think, and Omo had also been waiting for news from Liu Weiwei. About 5 minutes later, Liu Weiwei sent a message. How about I get a few thugs to ambush Ning Ning, and you can play the hero and save the damsel in distress. Omo was taken aback when she saw her words. Are these really best friends? Chapter 35, Obtaining a Wingman to Monitor Mu Baining. Mu Baining already has an injury on her foot, so there's no need to block her. Omo really didn't expect Liu Weiwei to come up with such a terrible idea. If Mu Baining calls the police and gets the people who were blocking her arrested, that would be troublesome. At this moment, Omo's mind was still filled with the look in Mu Baining's eyes when she woke up 4 days ago in the small hotel. If I hadn't stopped her, he probably would have gone inside. Before he could reply, Liu Weiwei sent him a message. No, I can't do this to Ning Ning. I'll ask her to go to a movie later, and I'll sneak away while you go and keep Ning Ning company. Upon seeing this message, Omo felt it was all right. At least it's much better than blocking her. Punishment. Then Liu Weiwei sent him another message. Ning Ning will be resting in the dorm tomorrow. You can bring her food or something. This will greatly increase your popularity with Ning Ning. Sure, sure, Omo chuckled. Goodness, it seems he's gained Mu Baining's wingman. Thinking of this, Omo typed rapidly. Professor Liu, please keep an eye on Ning Ning for me. If she feels unwell or needs any help, please let me know immediately. Okay, Tilda. Liu Weiwei readily agreed. But when you win Ning Ning over, you have to treat me to a meal. No problem. Having acquired such a mobile surveillance and wingman, Omo was secretly delighted. Then Liu Weiwei sent Mu Baining's birth date, the date she started menstruating, her germophobia, her favorite foods, and even some very ugly photos from her college days. Omo was stunned when she saw these things. This is the legendary best girlfriend. Seeing Mu Baining's birthday, she was born on October 10th, and her age was exactly 3 years older than his. Omo murmured, she's only 3 years older than me. A woman 3 years older is like a gold brick, perfect. In fact, Omo's requirement for a spouse is that they be 3 years apart in age. If she's 3 years younger, she's a naive, innocent girl with little experience and easily fooled. If he's 3 years older, he's mature, stable, and has a career, hee. Having chosen Mu Baining, Omo had secretly vowed in her heart that she would never let her down in this lifetime. The next morning, after breakfast, Omo and his roommates went to the playground for military training. But just as military training began, he was summoned to the art building by a student council member who claimed to be from the arts department. His goal was to participate in the selection process for the welcome party program, so he was given a morning off. After he finished singing Guest, several judges secretly wiped away tears. After they left, some girls even secretly added him on WeChat. Just like yesterday, Omo ignored it. After throwing the guitar back into his dorm, he wandered around the Magic University. Because she obtained the super milk tea recipe yesterday, Muzaya Omo is wondering whether she should open a milk tea shop. After all, I have a side quest to complete now, so I'll earn 10 million first. Secondly, the gross profit margin of milk tea shops is simply too high. Although there are more than a dozen milk tea shops in Moke University, there is still a market for them. If the food is delicious, repeat customers will keep coming back. Of course, since the system gave him the milk tea recipe, Muzaya Omo wasn't worried about whether it tasted good or not. As for the money to open a milk tea shop, the system had previously given him 100,000 yuan, which could be used as startup capital. After all, he wasn't a franchisee, so the biggest expenses were just the rent for the store and the cost of equipment. 100,000 should be enough, right? If not, ask your dad for some. Go and see. Thinking of this, Muzaya Omo felt a sense of relief. He had a premonition that he would soon be able to hold Mu Baining in his arms and count money in his hands. The campus of Magic University is quite large, with 3 canteens and a food street. The foot traffic here is enormous. After all, it's a food street built on campus, so you can imagine how popular it is. The University of Moko has more than 50,000 students, which is a terrifying number. After riding around on a shared bike, Muzaya Omo discovered that there were 3 milk tea shops near each canteen. Then, near the snack street, there are 4 milk tea shops. This is just the cafeteria and snack street, such as the stadium, gym, and some special places, as well as some beverage shops. It has to be said, this industry is really lucrative. After a quick look, it appears that only 3 of these 13 milk tea shops are self-operated brands. Everything else is a franchise. Now Muzaya Omo has 2 options in mind. One option is to rent a storefront and open a new milk tea shop. However, this approach has significant limitations, mainly because most of the shops at Magic University already have tenants, and there may not be anyone willing to rent out their shops. Secondly, he could find a struggling milk tea shop and have someone else transfer it to him. Are there any milk tea shops around here that are doing poorly? I should still ask him. He has a social butterfly syndrome anyway. Without much thought, Muzaya Omo walked straight into a milk tea shop on the commercial street. This is a self-operated brand. Since the 2nd and 3rd year students have already started school, the milk tea shop is still quite popular. Seeing so many people inside, Muzaya Omo immediately felt that she had no chance. There are so many people here even during class time. This milk tea shop must be doing really well. He didn't even have the desire to ask any more. Just as he was about to leave, a sound suddenly came from behind him. Hey, Muzaya Omo, what are you doing here? Didn't you go to military training today? Upon hearing this, Muzaya Omo turned his head and discovered that the person he was talking to was his wingman, Liu Weiwei. Their eyes met, and this was the first time Liu Weiwei had spoken to Muzaya Omo. When she noticed his cheeks, Liu Weiwei blushed. He's so handsome, his aura is completely different from other guys. He's like a little sun radiating its own holy light, making people want to get closer to him. However, Liu Weiwei had no feelings for Muzaya Omo. Hearing Liu Weiwei's words, Muzaya Omo replied with a smile. Hello, Teacher Liu. I participated in the selection for the welcome party today, so I didn't have military training this morning. Oh, okay. She nodded, then smiled. You like milk tea too? I sent you so many messages from Ningning yesterday, you have to buy me a cup. Of course. Muzaya Omo readily agreed, and soon he bought 2 cups of mango pomelo sago. After handing it to Liu Weiwei, the two walked out of the milk tea shop together. Liu Weiwei, who was next to her, inserted a straw, took a sip of mango pomelo sago, and then frowned slightly. Sigh, the milk tea these days is getting worse and worse. This is still the best milk tea shop in Magic University. Just then, the system's voice came through. There are shops for sale at the exit of the underground supermarket in the first canteen. You can go and rent one. Chapter 36. Holy crap, there's a big black rat. Muzaya Omo was slightly taken aback when she heard the system's voice. The opportunity has arrived. He glanced at Liu Weiwei and said, Professor Liu, I'll make it for you myself next time. Could you please take care of Ningning for me? I suddenly remembered something, so I'll be going now. After saying that, Muzaya Omo left in a hurry. Liu Weiwei was left standing there in a daze. She frowned slightly, and Muzaya Omo just said she'd make it for herself. What does this sentence mean? Also, why did she walk so fast? She still had so many questions to ask. No, she still had so many things to ask. Could it be that Muzaya Omo is on her period? On the other side, Muzaya Omo had already arrived at the exit of the first canteen and the underground supermarket. On the basement floor of each cafeteria at the University of Science and Technology of China, There is a very large supermarket. Because it was during class time, there were hardly any people here. There wasn't even a cashier. Students would only come to the supermarket to buy things at noon or after school in the evening. But what about the shops that the system mentioned are for sale? He looked around, turned slightly, and discovered that there was a milk tea shop opposite the supermarket exit. Omo was slightly taken aback. He hadn't been here in the past few days since school started, and he never expected that there was a milk tea shop hidden here. This is an L-shaped corridor. Unless you come out of the supermarket, you need to turn a corner to see this milk tea shop. To be honest, it's really awkward for this milk tea shop to be located here. After all, for a milk tea shop to make money, it must be located in a place with high customer traffic. In today's milk tea market, as long as the milk tea isn't too bad and the price isn't too expensive, people generally won't care about the brand. As long as it's convenient, that's fine. The problem this shop faces is that it's too remote. Most students carry a lot of things after shopping at the supermarket, but very few people buy milk tea after shopping at the supermarket. People who want to buy milk tea won't specifically come to the underground area and walk many extra steps to buy it here. Of course, unless it's made to be exceptionally delicious and exceptionally affordable. This should be the shop, Omo muttered to herself. This shop's location is absolutely terrible. Investing in a milk tea shop here would be a huge loss. But if he were running the shop, things would probably be better. He was an extremely cautious person, and when Omo saw the location of the shop, she knew that business wouldn't be easy. Let's test the recipe the system gave him first to see if it tastes good. Thinking about it, he had already gone inside. I took a quick look, and this milk tea shop is quite large. It should be over 30 square meters. There are a few simple tables and chairs outside. The work area is behind the bar, and there is also a small room inside. The milk tea shop is a self-operated brand called Little Milk Rabbit Milk Tea. Upon entering, a man who appeared to be in his 30s was sitting in a chair, looking down at his phone. He only looked up after hearing Omo's voice. "Hello, welcome to Little Rabbit Milk Tea. What would you like to drink?" Omo turned her attention to the drink menu. The milk tea sold by Little Rabbit is not expensive. In fact, it's about 3 yuan cheaper than the market price. It seems he knew that lowering prices would attract customers, but unfortunately, the location was too remote. I'd like a honey peach milk tea with topping." Omo casually ordered a drink, intending to discuss the transfer with the owner in more detail. Upon hearing Omo's words, the shop owner's face was full of apology. "I'm sorry, student, but right now, we're out of the ingredients for this milk tea. Would you like to get something else?" Upon hearing this, Omo looked up at him and asked, "Boss, are you going to transfer ownership of the shop?" Hearing Omo's words, Ma Baegu frowned slightly because he hadn't posted a notice announcing the transfer of the shop yet. However, he did tell some of his classmates about the plan to transfer the shop, so it probably got to him. Ma Baegu nodded, then sighed. "Yes, I don't want to either, but business is bad. There's nothing I can do." Omo could tell from the shop owner's expression that he was helpless. Every entrepreneurial shop is the result of the owner's hard work, and it seemed that this shop hadn't made much money. Omo cut to the chase and asked, "Boss, how much longer is the rent due for this shop?" Hearing Omo's words, Ma Baegu was taken aback, then replied, "There are still less than 3 months left, classmate. Why are you asking this?" "I want to rent your shop." "What, rent my shop?" Ma Baegu looked Omo up and down and asked, "You should be a student at the Magic Science University, right? I haven't seen you before. You must be a freshman, right?" "Yes," Omo nodded. Upon learning that he was a freshman, Ma Baegu was taken aback, then asked, "Excuse me, are you serious? What kind of business are you planning to do here?" Seeing that Omo was a student, to be honest, he didn't want to rent the shop to Omo. Because there are so many college students starting businesses now, if he also impulsively decides to start a business and loses money, he'll probably cry for a long time. The main problem is that this position is really not good. No matter what you do, it's hard to get up. "You're opening a milk tea shop?" Omo was slightly taken aback. Was this boss talking too much? "Make milk tea." Upon hearing this, Ma Baegu waved his hand. "Come on, classmate. Look at me, I run a milk tea shop, and business is terrible right now. To tell you the truth, apart from a few regular customers who are familiar with me, you are the first person to come to my shop to buy milk tea." Omo was slightly taken aback. This was truly tragic. These past few days have been the peak of military training, yet no one has come to buy anything. Ma Beagyo continued, I see you're a student, so I don't want to harm you. You can open a milk tea shop if you want, but don't open it here. Goodness, I didn't expect the shop owner to reject me. However, Muzaiomo would never give up, mainly because he trusted the system. Muzaiomo continued, Boss, that's true, but I believe in myself. My milk tea recipe is unique and it's sure to taste great. Ma Beagyo's face darkened. When I bought the milk tea recipe, the seller said the same thing. You were fooled by him too. Muzaiomo covered her face. The shop owner was indeed a nice person and was always worried that he would lose money. He said, Boss, I've made up my mind. Just transfer it to me. Name your price, and if it's reasonable, I can transfer the money right now. Seeing Muzaiomo's determined look, Ma Beagyo sighed, realizing he couldn't persuade him either. Of course, if he loses money after the transfer, it's not his fault. If some idiot insists on transferring the business, of course you can. It's stupid not to make money when you can. So Ma Beagyo said, because of its special location, the rent here is not high, only 5,000 yuan a month. After the lease expires, someone from the school will contact you to pay the fee. Muzaiomo felt the price wasn't too expensive, so he said, Boss, could I go inside and take a look? Sure. Thanks. After thanking her, Muzaiomo went inside. But as soon as he entered the small room, he saw a particularly large rat on the floor. Including the tail, it should be about 20 cm long. Holy crap, there's a huge black rat. After chapter 37, the brothers will be able to drink free milk tea. Upon hearing the sound, Ma Beagyo quickly followed him inside. At the same time, the mouse was also frightened and quickly ran into a corner, disappearing without a trace. Muzaiomo immediately turned her gaze to Ma Beagyo. Damn, it seems the hygiene here is also worrying. A mouse has suddenly appeared, and it's huge. Seeing this, Ma Beagyo scratched his head awkwardly. Because of the summer vacation, a lot of things here have become moldy, so naturally, rats have started to nest here. He was also worried that Muzaiomo might not rent his shop because of this, so he continued, If you need this shop, I can waive some of the transfer fee and then give you the freezer here. No, thank you, Muzaiomo shook her head. Let me offer a higher transfer fee. As for the contents of this place, you can clear them out. That works too, Ma Beagyo nodded. Muzaiomo twitched her nose. There was a musty smell in the room, the walls were peeling and blackened in many places, and there were even many flies in it. If he were to open a milk tea shop here, he would have to renovate it completely and buy a new set of equipment. If the original owner's equipment had been used, the customer might have gotten into trouble after drinking it. If he ended up in jail because of it, wouldn't he have suffered a huge loss? Soon, Ma Beagyo drafted a contract at a nearby print shop. The transfer fee was 11,000 yuan, which was the price Muzaiomo negotiated. Ma Beagyo said that he could clear out all the items in the shop today. After signing the contract, Muzaiomo transferred the money to him, and then he went into the school's supermarket and bought some ingredients for making milk tea. After all, he still wanted to try the super milk tea recipe the system had given him and see how it tasted. Let his 3 eldest sons have a taste at noon. At noon, Muzaiomo made 4 cups of mango pomelo sago according to the milk tea recipe given by the system, then went to the cafeteria to get a meal to go before returning to her dormitory. Not long after, Huang Wenxu, Bai Yuntao, and Du Yang walked in, panting heavily. After a morning of military training, the 3 of them were exhausted. Holy crap, it's so hot. Yeah, damn it, I can't even buy a cup of milk tea. It's outrageous. No, Zairo-mo, why didn't you turn on the air conditioner? As soon as they entered the dormitory, the 3 of them started barking like dogs. Muzaiomo quickly stood up and placed the mango pomelo sago he had made on the table for the 3 big boys. This is mango pomelo sago I made. Come on, brothers, have a taste. What? Upon hearing this, Huang Wenxu immediately looked at Muzaiomo's face. This is the mango pomelo sago you made. Bai Yuntao, holy crap, Moji, you're awesome. You skipped military training this morning. Did you go make milk tea? Du Yang noticed the words Little Rabbit on the milk tea. Damn, isn't this the Little Rabbit milk tea from the underground supermarket? This milk tea is so awful. I bought a cup on the first day of school and had diarrhea for 2 days after drinking it. Muzaiomo was taken aback when she heard Du Yang's words. Goodness, I never expected Du Yang to have bought milk tea from their shop. No wonder he kept going to the bathroom the other day. Muzaiomo coughed and said, brothers, I've taken over that milk tea shop and I'm planning to open my own. This is what I make, so don't worry, the ingredients are absolutely safe. What the heck? Huang Wenxu was delighted to hear Muzaiomo's words. Brother Mo, I support you. From now on, the brothers will be able to drink free milk tea. This will directly achieve bubble tea freedom. Upon hearing this, Omo rolled her eyes at him. This fatso, all he can think about is getting something for nothing. He said, these are all minor matters. Okay, quickly taste it and see how it is. If it's palatable, I'll work overtime to prepare it. I'll try it. Huang Wengsu was the first to insert the straw, took a sip of mango pomelo sago, and his eyes lit up immediately. The rich mango flavor, with a hint of grapefruit, slowly glides across the tongue and down the throat, instantly sending a chill through the entire body. One small bite, and your heart is filled with sweetness. Because it has ice in it, after taking a sip, you feel refreshed all over, like stepping into an air-conditioned room, which is very cooling. It's delicious, so delicious. He'd had mango pomelo sago before, but he'd never had mango pomelo sago this good. He took another deep breath before looking up and saying, Brother Mo, how can your mango pomelo sago be so delicious? I love it so much. Bai Yuntao also praised. Yes, I must say, Brother Mo's mango pomelo sago is absolutely amazing. Du Yang, damn, this tastes a million times better than the Little Milk Rabbit restaurants. That's a bit of an exaggeration. Omo chuckled and took a sip herself. She had to admit that this mango pomelo sago was like it had been given a buff. After one sip, she wanted to drink more. It's truly unforgettable and leaves you wanting more. Although the store's location is somewhat remote, as long as the reputation is strong enough, there shouldn't be any problem with making a lot of money. At this moment, Huang Wengsu said, Brother Mo, you should send Professor Mu a drink. She'll definitely fall in love with you after she drinks it. Yeah, Mo, you absolutely have to give Professor Mu a drink. Hearing their words, Zai almost smiled helplessly. Can't I just give the shop to Professor Mu? Holy crap. Hearing this, they realized. What Zai almost said made a damn good point. Sending them directly to the store, that's torture. Huang Wengsu couldn't help but say, Brother Mo, do you think I can do it? If I can, I'll buy a plane ticket to Thailand right now. Go. Zai Omo rolled her eyes, got into bed, and turned on her phone. There are quite a few things needed to open a shop. The renovation will start tomorrow, and then we'll apply for a business license. Applying for a business license is incredibly inefficient at the local administration for industry and commerce these days. It will definitely take a long time, preventing you from starting business as soon as possible. Let Dad help him. His father was quite capable and usually treated him well, but he had the idea of raising sons frugally and daughters lavishly. That doesn't matter. The system is already activated, so why would we need money? So Zai Omo sent a WeChat message to his dad. Old man, your son wants to start a business. Get me a business license for a milk tea shop called Hello Kitty TT, located at shop number 1, 4, number 1 restaurant, Shanghai University of Science and Technology. After sending it, Zai Omo contacted a renovation company. Bubble tea primarily targets the female market, and many girls nowadays love Hello Kitty. So Zai Omo decided without hesitation to decorate a pink Hello Kitty-themed bubble tea shop. It's sure to be a huge hit. Chapter 38, Personally Cooking Dinner for Professor Mu. Next, Zai Omo ordered a batch of beverage-making equipment and raw materials for making milk tea online. Opening a milk tea shop is expensive, but the biggest expense is the renovation, which costs a whopping 50,000 yuan. He roughly calculated that the total cost of opening a milk tea shop was just over 100,000 yuan. You don't need to prepare a lot of materials. It's summer now and fruits and such spoil easily. You can just buy them at the school supermarket. After making her plans, Zai Omo quickly put down her phone. She had military training in the afternoon, and a nap would give her the energy she needed. Take a light nap, hope to dream of Professor Mutilda. He soon fell asleep. At 2 o'clock, Zai Omo and his eldest son went to the playground to continue their military training for the day. Because he showed off his martial arts skills last night, Yang Gang had a very good impression of him and immediately put him in charge of the students' military training. Of course, he was also very responsible. In fact, leading students in military training was much easier than training them himself. The main problem is that nobody cares about him. The classmates who had been winking at him before have become much more obedient. After all, a hard fist does have some effect. The military training continued until 6 p.m., when Yang announced the assembly. After assembling, Yang Gang addressed the students. Okay, just like yesterday, everyone only has 1 hour for lunch. We'll gather here again at 7 o'clock. Tonight, we'll learn to sing the military song, returning from target practice. Did you all hear that? I heard you. The students shouted loudly. This time their voices were particularly loud. Yang Gang nodded. Okay, everyone disperse. Just as Mu Omo was about to go to the cafeteria with his 3 sons, the system's voice suddenly came through. Ding, congratulations to the host for triggering a mission. Tonight's task, go to the faculty dormitory and cook a meal for Mu Baining. Task reward, 10,000 cash, which can improve your relationship with each other. Upon hearing this voice, Mu Omo was startled. What, cook a meal for Mu Baining? Give me back 10,000 yuan. He's a bit of a penny pincher, he just loves money. And it can also improve the relationship between the two parties, that's very comfortable. He won't let this good opportunity slip by. He has to go. Just as he made his decision, Mu Baining's roommate, Liu Weiwei, suddenly ran over anxiously. She stopped beside Mu Omo, panting, and said, That's great, Omo, you haven't gone to eat yet. Seeing Liu Weiwei's anxious look, he frowned and asked, What's wrong, Professor Liu? Is there something you need me for so urgently? She touched her chest. During military training just now, one of my classmates suddenly fainted. It seems quite serious. I need to go to the hospital with him. Then Ningning is still in the dorm, so I can't bring her food. Can you bring her some food after you finish eating? Upon hearing this, Mu Omo thought about it carefully. At 5 o'clock, a classmate from the class next to his had indeed fainted. Fainting during military training is perfectly normal. After all, the weather is hot now and many students are weak. Like Bai Yuntao, you never know when you might faint. It's a minor matter. But it seems pretty serious. Without giving it much thought, Mu Omo nodded heavily. Okay, Professor Liu, you can go ahead and do what you need to do. I'll take care of Ningning. Okay, take good care of Ningning. You know what she likes to eat. I'll head over now. After saying that, Liu Weiwei hurriedly left. At this moment, his 3 eldest sons were still waiting for Mu Omo here, and they had also heard what Liu Weiwei had just said. Bai Yuntao said, Brother Mo, you're really something. Professor Mu already has a wingman. Exactly. Did you give Professor Liu some benefits? Why is she contacting you but not me? Come on, let's go eat quickly. I also want to go find Professor Mu with Brother Mo, hee. Hearing this, Mu Omo rolled her eyes. You guys go eat first. I'll pack some food and send it to Professor Mu directly, so you don't have to bother running errands for me. Actually, you're not worthy. TCH tilde. Bai Yuntao scoffed, looking at him with disdain. I think you just want to eat alone. Fine, let's go eat, brothers. We can't disturb Brother Mo's pursuit of Professor Mu. Oh, yes. Huang Wengsu, go for it, Moji. Try to sleep with her as soon as possible. Mu Omo was speechless. Just then he realized an hour wasn't enough time to cook for Professor Mu. Damn it, I'd better ask the instructor for leave. A few minutes later, Mu Omo found instructor Yang Gang. At that moment, he and Liu Hong were on their way to the cafeteria. The two were very close, holding hands, chatting and laughing, and looked very affectionate. Seeing this, Mu Omo was a little afraid to disturb them. However, in order to cook for Professor Mu, he still gritted his teeth and quietly went over. Mu Omo suddenly appeared from behind Yang Gang's left, then chuckled and said, Hey, Instructor Yang, how are you? Holy crap! This scene startled Yang Gang. How could Mu Omo have appeared out of nowhere like this? The moment Mu Omo stepped out, he had already let go of Liu Hong's hand. Yang Gang wanted to scold Mu Omo, but considering Liu Hong's presence, and in order to maintain a good image for himself, he ultimately refrained from speaking. Instead, she asked with a faint smile, Oh, it's Omo, what can I do for you? Mu Omo put on her dramatic act, clutching her stomach. Coach, my stomach isn't feeling well. Can I skip military training tonight? Looking at Mu Omo's expression, her eyes seemed quite sincere, so it didn't seem like she was lying. To get Mu Omo away as quickly as possible, he nodded. Okay. Then go back and get some rest, and remember to drink plenty of hot water. Drink more hot water. Mu Omo was taken aback. Thank you, instructor, I will. He murmured to himself. Instructor Yang is quite easy to talk to, he's just a bit too straightforward. Without thinking twice, he quickly ran away from there. Yang Gang stared at Mu Omo's retreating figure, slightly taken aback. How could someone with an upset stomach run so fast? Or perhaps he's about to poop his pants. Chapter 39, Mu Baining. I've got Mu Omo under my control. Half an hour later, Mu Omo stepped into the faculty dormitory carrying a large bag of things. Handsome guy, you're here again, tilde. I had only taken a couple of steps inside when I heard the voice of that beautiful middle-aged woman, coming from the dormitory manager's window. Mu Omo was taken aback. Goodness, he didn't expect the dormitory supervisor to remember him. He smiled at the older woman and said, "Yes, beautiful lady, I'm here again. I'm going upstairs to see my professor, maybe I could." Go ahead, go ahead." Before he could finish speaking, the woman waved him up, not taking it seriously at all. Thank you." Just now, he even wanted to bribe the dorm supervisor's mother with 2 carrots. She didn't have anything else on her, and carrots. She should really like them, right? Canada conja enus omega Canada conja enus. Without thinking twice, Mu Omo pressed the button for the 6th floor after entering the elevator. As the elevator ascended, Mu Omo glanced at the groceries she was carrying and nodded with considerable satisfaction. Yesterday, Liu Weiwei mentioned on WeChat that Mu Baining likes to eat grilled fish, takoyaki, sushi, and the like. He wandered around the supermarket but couldn't find an octopus. Instead, he bought a Kingjiang fish, a serving of sushi and some side dishes, intending to make a grilled fish for Mu Baining. When it comes to grilled fish, his skills are superb. As far back as he can remember, his grandparents ran a grilled fish restaurant. Because he often went to the kitchen to play, he learned a pretty good skill. This time, when he cooks for Mu Baining, he can definitely show off his skills. Ding tilde. The elevator arrived at the 6th floor, and the hallway was still as dark as it had been last time. Mu Omo arrived at room 604 and gently knocked on the door. Knock, knock, knock. Immediately afterwards, a voice came from inside the room. Coming. Because of Mu Baining's foot injury, she couldn't open the door quickly. Mu Omo was not in a hurry and waited quietly. A short while later, the dormitory door was opened from the inside, accompanied by Mu Baining's voice. "Wait a minute, Weiwei. Why didn't you bring your keys today? And this is a fingerprint lock. Are you deliberately making things difficult for me to open the door for you?" Well, before she could finish speaking, Mu Baining was slightly taken aback when she saw the person at the door. It was actually Mu Omo. She looked down at what Mu Omo was holding. Why was he carrying a fish? And radishes and peppers? Mu Baining was a little confused. At the same time, when Mu Omo saw Mu Baining, her heart skipped a beat. Because Mu Baining was wearing a pink pajama set today, covered with Hello Kitty patterns. I never expected that Mu Baining, who is a mature and sophisticated woman, would also have such a girlish side. What is this called? This is called being both a virgin and a maiden, a dual cultivation of virginity and maidenhood. Professor Mu is exactly the type of person Mu Omo likes. At this moment, she had her hair tied in a bun, and although her pajamas were loose, the prominent breasts below her collarbone were still particularly noticeable. So big, so white. Noticing Mu Omo's gaze, Mu Baining looked at her with disdain and then said fiercely, "Mu Omo, what brings you here?" The serious tone pulled Mu Omo back from his reverie, and he smiled slightly. "Didn't Professor Liu tell you? One of her students fainted, and she accompanied the student to the hospital. She asked me to bring you some food, but the cafeteria is too crowded right now, and she was worried you wouldn't be able to stand the hunger, so she decided to cook you a meal." Hee, Professor Mu, my cooking skills are very good. Let me tell you a secret, you are the 3rd girl to eat my cooking. You should feel honored. Hearing Mu Omo's words, Mu Baining suddenly remembered that he had cooked noodles for her before. She still remembers the taste of the noodles. At this moment, Mu Baining asked, "The 3rd one? Then who were the 1st and 2nd? Oh, wow." Hearing this, Mu Omo knew that Mu Baining was jealous. At this moment, Mu Baining was also wondering, could it be that Mu Omo has an ex-girlfriend? Looking at Mu Baining's expression, she asked, "Professor Mu, are you sure you don't want me to go in?" Oh. Mu Baining realized what was happening and quickly made way for her. "Come in quickly." Noticing that Mu Baining was on one foot, he quickly stepped forward to support her. "Professor Mu, be careful, let me help you." And so Mu Baining jumped up comically and slowly walked into the house, almost making Mu Omo laugh to death. After helping her to the bed, Mu Omo answered the question from before. "The 1st girl is my mom, and the 2nd is my sister. The 3rd one is my wife Tilda." Mu Omo chuckled, and upon hearing Mu Omo's words, Mu Baining's face immediately turned red. His wife? When did I become his wife? How shameless." Noticing Mu Baining's expression, Mu Omo was secretly delighted. In fact, he had already prepared himself mentally when he said those words. After all, Liu Weiwei had already said yesterday that Mu Baining already had feelings for him. Otherwise, he wouldn't dare say that. But judging from Mu Baining's performance, wow, that's true. The two were almost in a romantic relationship, and Mu Baining felt very conflicted at this moment. I want to be flirted with, but I feel a little uncomfortable. But she also likes Mu Ziomo. This feeling is so awful. Seeing that Mu Baining remained silent, Mu Ziomo opened the shopping bag from the supermarket and said, "Professor Mu, I bought you some sushi. Don't you especially like sushi? Try some." Mu Baining was somewhat puzzled upon hearing this. Sigh, she doesn't seem to have mentioned liking sushi before. How did Mu Ziomo know? As she was meditating, a box of sushi wrapped in a transparent plastic container was placed in front of her. Without giving it much thought, Mu Baining said thank you, but still asked, "How did you know I like sushi?" She glanced again at the Kingjiang fish in the bag. It seemed to be one of her favorites. How did Mu Ziomo know so much? That's not reasonable. I found it from your WeChat moments. Mu Ziomo did not betray Liu Weiwei. It seems she was unaware that Liu Weiwei had added him on WeChat, nor that she had a wingman monitoring her. If Liu Weiwei is sold out, Mu Baining will definitely cause trouble for her. Losing a wingman would be a huge loss. Moments on WeChat, she frowned slightly, too hasty. She does have a habit of sharing on her WeChat moments, and she likes to share all kinds of delicious food and beautiful photos there. Thinking of this, Mu Baining felt a strange sense of satisfaction, because Mu Zio has begun to understand her interests and what she likes to eat. It seems that Mu Zio is now completely under my control. Mu Zio picked up the fish and said, "Professor Mu, have some sushi first, but don't eat too much. I'll make you my best grilled fish. My fish is even better than some professional chefs." Just as Mu Zio was about to enter the kitchen, Mu Baining asked, If I remember correctly, we still have night training later, right? If you cook, what will happen to the night training?" Mu Zio smiled slightly. "It's okay. Instructor Yang can't beat me anyway. Now he has to lower his head when he sees me." Upon hearing this, Mu Baining was taken aback. This Mu Zio is so arrogant. Chapter 40, Professor Mu, the grilled fish is here. However, when Mu Baining heard Mu Zio speak so arrogantly, her first reaction was not disgust. Instead, she felt that Mu Zio was very reliable. He likes confident guys, mainly because he is not only confident, but also very capable. She still vividly remembers the scene of her fight with Yang Gang last night, especially his strong muscles. At this moment, Mu Baining even wanted to touch his abs. There's no way to hide it. Girls like abs just like guys like black stockings. At this moment, Mu Zio said, "I'll go to the kitchen to cook first. Please wait a moment. It takes a while to make grilled fish, so please be patient." He spoke to Mu Baining as if he were coaxing a child. In fact, no matter how independent or strong a woman is, she is still a little girl at heart, and there is always a fragile little princess hidden in her heart. He smiled and then swaggered into the kitchen. Do you need my help?" Mu Baining didn't know why she said those words. All she wanted to do at that moment was stay with Mu Zio. "But my legs are inconvenient, damn it." Upon hearing her voice, Mu Zio turned her head, looked at Mu Baining's delicate face, and then at her bandaged feet. "You should rest. You still owe me a meal. Cook it for me when your foot is better." She nodded softly, said nothing more, and just silently watched him. In the kitchen, just like last time, all the tableware and seasonings were arranged very neatly, and there wasn't even a trace of soot on the range hood. Most of the seasonings were still unopened, suggesting that Mu Baining and Liu Weiwei rarely cook in their dorm room. That's normal. I took a quick look, and the ingredients seem quite complete. The facilities in the faculty and staff dormitories at the Magic University are indeed quite good. Air fryers, ovens, and other appliances are all available. Mu Zio took the Kingjiang fish out of the plastic bag and placed it on the cutting board. The fish wasn't completely dead yet. It thrashed around a couple of times after being placed on the cutting board. Without saying a word, Mu Zio cut open the fish's belly and gutted it, thus ending the fish's life. After washing my hands and cleaning the fish's internal organs, I made incisions on the fish to help it absorb the flavors. Kingjiang fish has no small bones, making it perfect for grilling. His knife skills were excellent. After making the decorative cuts, he washed the blood off the fish with clean water and then began preparing the marinade. Liu Weiwei said that Mu Baining likes spicy food. The spicier the better, but considering that she still has an injury on her foot, she didn't plan to add chili peppers this time in order to slow down the healing process. He first marinated the Kingjiang fish with scallions, ginger, garlic, cooking wine, and white pepper powder, and then he stir-fried the sauce. Mu Baining witnessed this entire scene. She stared intently at Mu Zio's face, unable to look away. She never expected that such a handsome man could cook. His cooking skills seemed to be better than hers. In today's society, there are many men who can cook, but it is indeed rare for someone his age to be able to cook. In fact, Muzaya Omo had already noticed Mu Baining's gaze, but he did not turn his head to look at her. This girl kept glancing at him secretly. If he turned his head away, she would definitely avoid his gaze. Without much thought, I decided to cook. After the fish is marinated, the sauce is almost ready. At this moment, a faint fragrance had filled the room. He heard from his grandfather that their family's grilled fish restaurant had been in business for over 20 years, so they had a very good grasp of the proportions of the ingredients. The aroma wasn't pungent at all. In fact, it made my stomach rumble. Yes, that's the taste. Muzaya was overjoyed. The scent was so familiar. Take out the baking pan, put the fish on it, and then pour all the stir-fried sauce over it. Wrap it in aluminum foil, put it in the oven, and you're all done. The fish will be ready to eat after 30 minutes. Muzaya added rice and water to the rice cooker and then turned it on. Outside, Mu Baining, who was looking at her phone, suddenly smelled a faint fragrance. She couldn't help but look up. This smells so good, is it the smell of grilled fish? She murmured to herself, could it be that Muzaya has already prepared the grilled fish? His gaze unconsciously drifted towards the kitchen, just as Muzaya came out. Seeing Mu Baining looking at him, Muzaya asked, "What's wrong, Professor Mu? The grilled fish will take another 30 minutes to cook. Are you hungry?" No." Mu Baining shook her head, but as soon as she finished speaking, a rumbling sound came from her stomach. Cuckoo! The sound was quite loud, and Muzaya heard it clearly. Instantly, Mu Baining's face turned as ugly as the first emoji on your phone. Buff! Muzaya burst out laughing. Professor Mu was getting a slap in the face from his stomach. Mu Baining's face darkened. Really, why was her stomach being so uncooperative at this time? That's so annoying. Muzaya said, "It's all right, Professor Mu. We'll be eating in half an hour. You still have your birthday celebration." Then he saw the sushi box in the trash can. Holy crap, she actually ate a whole box of sushi. Is this girl such a big eater? Upon seeing this, Mu Baining's expression immediately turned sour. I was so engrossed in watching Muzaya that I finished the sushi without even realizing it. It would be so embarrassing for Muzaya to see how much he could eat. At this moment, Mu Baining felt like she could dig a 3-bedroom apartment out of between her toes. Muzaya quickly said, "Hee, Professor Mu, actually I can eat everything I like, but you're so thin it's good for you to eat more. I'll go check on the fish in the kitchen and wait patiently a bit longer." With that, Muzaya quickly went back to the kitchen. Of course, she was telling the truth when she said Mu Baining was thin. She's only a little big in the chest. The rest of her body isn't really that fat. She has an A4 waist, slender thighs, and is 170 cm tall. That's her net height. Weighing over 100 pounds isn't considered heavy, but her chest must weigh several pounds. Before and after getting into the oven, Muzaya increased the heat a bit, and then came the long wait. He didn't leave the kitchen until 23 minutes later, when the oven dinged. Ding tilde. All done. Muzaya quickly put on heat-resistant gloves and opened the oven door. Instantly, a fragrant aroma filled the air. Muzaya took a deep breath. Yes, that's the taste. Place the baking tray on the table, open the foil, and then sprinkle some cilantro and shredded radish on the grilled fish. No chili peppers were added. He quickly brought it out and said, "Professor Mu, the grilled fish is here." Chapter 41 then. I'll be your servant for the rest of my life, okay? Cuckoo. After hearing Muzaya words, her stomach rumbled again. Muzaya chuckled as she walked to the dining table. She can still be hungry after eating a box of sushi. It seems she has quite an appetite. This Kingjiang fish weighs over 4 pounds, more than enough for Mu Baining to eat. At this moment, Mu Baining was sitting on the bed. After placing the grilled fish on the table, Muzaya got up and came to her side, helping her directly into the wheelchair. Savoring her natural fragrance, Muzaya slowly said, "Professor Mu, please wait a moment. I'll get you a bowl and chopsticks, and then I'll serve you some rice." Thank you, Zairo. At this moment, Mu Baining felt her mind go blank, as if everything about her was being taken care of perfectly by Muzaya. They were completely pampered and waited on hand and foot. If only things could stay like this forever. She didn't know why she thought that way. Soon, Muzaya came over with 2 sets of bowls and chopsticks and placed them on the table. "Okay, you can eat now." He scrutinized Mu Baining's delicate features. "I remember you like spicy food, but because you still have an injury on your foot, I was afraid it would affect your recovery, so I didn't add any chili peppers. I'll make you a spicy version next time your foot heals. Zum. Mu Baining nodded slightly, completely surprised that Mu Zyaomo would be so thoughtful. Chili peppers do indeed easily cause wound inflammation and affect wound healing. He's thinking too comprehensively. Most men these days are stereotypical, straight men, meaning they're not conventionally attractive or straightforward, and warm-hearted men like him are rare. After a moment of meditation, Mu Baining leaned her head close to the grilled fish, scrutinizing it. It has to be said that just by looking at the exterior, Mu Zyaomo's fish dishes look incredibly appetizing. The grilled fish has a glossy color and a golden yellow surface. The white, tender meat can be clearly seen where the fish has been scored. The aroma in particular is absolutely amazing. Before school started, she and her best friend Liu Weiwei traveled to many places. She loved eating fish and tried grilled fish in many places, but found that none of them tasted as good as the ones made by Mu Zyaomo. Click! A large bowl of rice was placed in front of her. Mu Zyaomo watched as Mu Baining stared at the fish without touching it and couldn't help but say, "Professor Mu, just looking won't fill your stomach. Come on, try some. Do you think I'm afraid I'll drug you?" No, no, no. Mu Zyaomo chuckled. "Don't worry, I won't do such a dirty thing. Although you are very beautiful, you've been doing it for more than 3 years. Don't talk nonsense." Mu Baining glanced at the rice in the bowl. "No, there seems to be a lot of rice. I can't finish it all. If we can't finish it, we'll just leave it. Let's try the fish instead." Upon hearing this, Mu Baining didn't think much of it. She pursed her lips and said, "Then I'll try it." Try it." Mu Zyaomo looked at Mu Baining with anticipation. She used her slender, jade-like hands to hold the chopsticks, picked up a small piece of fish, and then put it into her little mouth. She ate very quietly, but when she tasted the fish, Mu Baining's eyes lit up, and her mouth even opened into an O shape. As a foodie who has tasted many delicacies, Mu Baining has extremely high standards for some foods. The grilled fish that Mu Zyaomo made was tender and had no fishy smell at all. If you were to describe the taste of fish in 4 characters, it would be smooth and tender, full-bodied, soft and smooth, with a lingering aftertaste. It's delicious, so delicious. It's even better than what she eats at restaurants outside. However, in order to leave a good image in front of Mu Zyaomo, she resisted the urge to take another piece. At the same time, Mu Zyaomo saw Mu Baining eat the fish with such an exaggerated expression, so she quickly asked, "How is it, Professor Mu? This fish tastes pretty good, right?" She nodded slightly, her expression calm, but her heart was in turmoil. This taste is absolutely amazing. Seeing Mu Baining's shy expression, Mu Zyaomo was delighted. "Then, how about I be your servant for the rest of my life?" Upon hearing this, Mu Baining was taken aback. This Mu Zyaomo is getting bolder and bolder. She just said she was his wife, and now she says she wants to be his wife for life. That's way too obvious. But why do I feel so happy to hear that? Omega. The main point is that, as a girl, I can't just agree directly, because that would make me seem too unreserved. After all, they had only known each other for 5 days. 5 days is not enough to truly understand a person, even though Mu Zyaomo is indeed a good person and is sincere towards her. However, we still need to observe for a while longer. Mu Baining thought for a moment, then looked up with a smile on her lips. "You really want to cook for me for the rest of your life?" Mu Zyaomo nodded, then Mu Baining chuckled. "Let me tell you, I have very high standards for food. You can't fool me with just a fish." Upon hearing this, Mu Zyaomo was taken aback. Good heavens, did Mu Baining agree? Wow, the personality of this ice queen changed so quickly. Although I didn't give her a direct answer. Maybe if I cooked a few more dishes, I could trick her into giving me away. Thinking of this, Mu Zyaomo stood up. Seeing this, Mu Baining quickly asked, Where are you going?" "I'll go make a few more dishes." Mu Baining couldn't help but laugh. This silly younger brother of hers was just too silly. Although I really wanted to try his other dishes, I'll skip it today. She quickly stopped Mu Zyaomo. "No need, Zyaomo, we can't finish all of this. Let's make some more next time." That works too. In fact, Mu Zyaomo didn't really intend to do it. However, Mu Baining's response today was indeed quite good. She also said she'd come back another time if she had the chance, which shows she's completely under her fish's thumb. Thinking of this, a smile appeared on Mu Zyaomo's lips. Seeing that Mu Baining hadn't touched her chopsticks yet, Mu Zyaomo continued, "Professor Mu, hurry up and eat. It won't taste good if it gets cold." "Yes, you eat too." She was still very hungry, so she picked up another large piece of fish and put it in her mouth. The aroma of the fish lingered in my mouth, and after swallowing it, I felt truly satisfied. Muzaya Omo also took a small bite, and the taste was exactly the same as he remembered. However, he wasn't very hungry, so he planned to leave it all for Mu Baining. Just then, a message popped up on Mu Baining's phone on the table. Looking around, Muzaya Omo noticed that the wallpaper she was using was a British short-hair kitten. A few days ago, when Mu Baining was crossing the street outside the school, she was also attracted by that little kitten. So Muzaya Omo asked, Professor Mu, do you really like kittens? Hearing this, she nodded. Yes, I've loved kittens since I was little, and I even had a lop-eared cat when I was in college. At this point, Mu Baining sighed. It's a pity that he only lived with us for a little over half a year before passing away due to a bone disease. Chapter 42, Professor Mu, let me explain. Hearing Mu Baining's words, Muzaya Omo also thought of the cat he used to have, which also passed away due to illness. However, he had kept it for a long time, accompanying him for 5 or 6 years. Because the cat Mu Baining raises has lop ears, this type of cat has a congenital skeletal disease, and the incidence rate is highest between 6 months and 2 years old. However, due to their unique appearance, lop-eared cats are widely loved, and many people still breed this breed. Seeing Mu Baining's disappointed expression, Muzaya Omo apologized softly. I'm sorry, Professor Mu, I touched a nerve. It's okay, Mu Baining shook her head. It's all in the past. Now I really like cats. You could say I'm a cat lover, but I don't have time to keep a cat now. Sometimes I really want to have one. Meow tilde. Just then, Muzaya Omo suddenly meowed like a cat. Upon hearing this, Mu Baining couldn't help but laugh, then coldly said, How old are you and still so childish? I can't afford to keep such a big cat like you. Muzaya Omo scratched his head, finding the atmosphere particularly relaxed. He said, I was just joking. Professor Mu, let's eat quickly. Mu Baining didn't think much of it. She was still hungry, so she decided to eat more fish and meat. Otherwise, Gu Weiwei would definitely try to take it from her when she got back. I like cats, Muzaya Omo murmured to herself as she looked at Mu Baining. Mu Baining likes cats, and he now owns a milk tea shop. Would it be much better if the milk tea shop were renovated into a cat cafe and given to Mu Baining? After having this idea, Muzaya Omo immediately felt it was feasible. Mu Baining is both a tutor and a professor at the Magic Science University, so she must be under a lot of pressure. In your free time, you can invite her to go to a cat cafe for some milk tea or coffee, and then pet the cats. I believe Mu Baining would definitely be very willing. As for who will scoop the litter box and change the cat food, that can be handled by the store's employees. Many university students do part-time jobs, which is convenient on campus. Also, many people like kittens these days, so finding a part-time student who likes kittens shouldn't be difficult. After making a plan, Muzaya Omo felt it was feasible. She would buy a few cats, and cat litter boxes and cat food would be enough. Professor Mu, Muzaya Omo suddenly spoke. Mu Baining, who was looking at the Magic Science group, raised her head curiously, her eyes full of doubt. What's wrong? No, Muzaya Omo shook her head. It's just, I have a gift for you. A gift, Mu Baining frowned slightly. You gave me a gift. What gift? I can't tell you now, but you'll find out later. Upon hearing this, Mu Baining's face turned ashen, as if she had swallowed a fly. This Muzaya Omo is trying to provoke her emotions. What a dog! Without giving it much thought, she continued looking at her phone when her gaze suddenly fell upon a document issued by the school's Arts and Culture Department. The document is a program schedule for the welcome party after the military training. Only Muzaya Omo and her class signed up for the program, and since Muzaya Omo happened to be next to her, Mu Baining clicked on the link directly. Soon she saw the show guests that Muzaya Omo had previously signed up for. Mu Baining was quite happy to see his program selected. Muzaya Omo is great at martial arts and cooking. I wonder if he sings well. Since you've already been selected, you must be a good singer, right? She looked up and said with a smile, Zayomo, your song guest for the welcome party has been selected. You'll be the first one, the third performance. Practice hard these days. Really? Muzaya Omo was delighted to hear her words. Mu Baining nodded. Of course it's true, so you need to practice hard recently and try to win an award for our class. Don't worry, Professor Mu, I'll do my best. At this moment, Muzaya Omo continued. By the way, you'll definitely be there when I perform, right? Of course. Mu Baining smiled and nodded. Even if she was delayed by something at that time, she would still go. After all, this is a rare opportunity, and if it's missed, There's no telling when we'll be able to hear him sing again. Okay, I'll definitely do my best then. Come on, Professor Mew, keep eating. 20 minutes later, Mew Omo had already finished a bowl of rice. Mew Baining barely touched the rice in her bowl, and she didn't eat much fish either. Seeing this, Mew Omo couldn't help but ask, Professor Mew, is there something wrong with the fish I cooked? Why are you eating so little? No, no. Mew Baining quickly tried to vomit. It was delicious, but I ate too much sushi and I'm not very hungry, so I'll eat some more tomorrow. Mew Omo didn't think much of it when she heard this. After all, there's a saying that if a girl eats less on a date, it means the boy is more handsome, and the greater the chance that she likes him. After all, girls don't eat a lot in front of guys they like. They need to be reserved and maintain their figure. Mew Baining should fall into this category at this time. I'm being a bit narcissistic. Mew Omo stood up. In that case, Professor Mew, let me help you pack your things. I'll put the grilled fish in the refrigerator for you. If you want to eat it tomorrow, remember to ask Liu Weiwei to heat it up for you. As soon as he finished speaking, Mew Baining shook her head and said, No need, no need, Weiwei can clean up when we get back. You've already worked so hard cooking for me, so there's no need to clean up. Fearing that Mew Omo wouldn't listen to her, she continued, I'm already full, help me to bed. All right. Then Mew Omo got up and helped Mew Baining up. He didn't push her wheelchair. His intention was to make physical contact with Mew Baining. It has to be said that Mew Baining's body odor is really wonderful. Mew Omo felt that his little brother was becoming disobedient. If he'd had a few drinks tonight, maybe. Tui tui. Mew Omo shook her head, feeling that she had been thinking too much. Because Mew Baining's right foot was still unable to put weight on it, Mew Omo simply picked her up. This pose is full of ambiguity, but just as Mew Omo was about to reach the bedside, my foot suddenly stepped on something slippery. Mew Omo stumbled, lost her balance, and slid off in a flash. Luckily, there was a bed right next to her. Mew Omo turned around abruptly, leaned her back against the bed, and lay down on her back. Then Mew Baining, who was in his arms, pressed down on him precisely. Yu Feng pressed against his chest, and Mew Baining's lips landed precisely on Mew Omo's lips. It smells so good. This was something Mew Omo was thinking unconsciously. Without thinking twice, his instinctive reaction was to quickly help Professor Mew up. After all, if Liu Weiwei came back at this moment and saw this scene, they would be doomed. After helping her up, Mew Omo said in a daze, Professor Mew, let me explain. Chapter 43, just a little more food, and it'll be a bit. What do you want to explain? Mew Baining's face turned somewhat ugly. She thought this was Mew Omo's doing on purpose. But when you look down at the floor, there is indeed a water stain on the tile. So he probably didn't do it on purpose. He just slipped on the water. It's okay. Her face was burning hot. Oh my God, she had kissed Mew Omo on the lips like this last time, and now she was kissing him on the lips again. Is this really a coincidence? Mew Baining's face grew increasingly red, while Mew Omo was also panicking inside. He really slipped and fell just now. Although he really wanted to kiss Mew Baining, he wasn't that desperate yet. Fortunately, Professor Mew was magnanimous and didn't hold it against him. Seeing Mew Baining's face growing increasingly red, Mew Omo also noticed the water stains on the floor. He quickly walked towards the balcony. Professor Mew, I'll go to the balcony to get a mop and wipe up the water on the floor. She nodded, but then suddenly realized something and was about to say no. But Mew Omo had already opened the balcony door and gone inside. Mew Omo looked up from the balcony and, to her surprise, saw Mew Baining and Liu Weiwei's underwear. It's still Hongxier's. This isn't even her birth year in the Chinese zodiac. Thinking of this, Mew Omo slapped herself hard across the face. What is he thinking? I'm sorry, I just came to get the mop. I didn't see anything. Grabbing the mop, Mew Omo quickly slipped out and began mopping the floor diligently. When Mew Baining saw Mew Omo coming over with a mop, her face immediately turned red. This. Her underwear is on the balcony. Oh dear, this is so embarrassing. He must have seen it. But she couldn't say anything, so she could only pretend she didn't know. Mew Omo forced herself to remain silent. After mopping the floor clean, she said, Professor Mew, you've finished eating. Is there anything else I can do for you? Professor Mew blushed and shook his head. I haven't recovered from what just happened. Mew Omo felt that he had completed his task for the day, so he had no intention of staying there any longer. What just happened was incredibly awkward. Professor Mew must know that he saw what was on the balcony. So Mew Omo said, Then, Professor Mew, I'll head back first. You can message me anytime if anything comes up. If Professor Liu hasn't returned, remember to let me know so I can bring you food. She nodded, blushing. Then I'll head back now. Get some rest, Professor Mew. Soon Mu Ziomo slunk away. After watching Mu Ziomo leave, Mu Baining took a deep breath. Her heart was pounding after kissing Mu Ziomo. I never imagined that my first kiss would be given away like this. Wait, it seems I already confessed last time. The main thing is, Mu Ziomo must have seen their clothes when she went to the balcony. How embarrassing. Mu Ziomo is really annoying. Why didn't you ask yourself if you could go to the balcony? Wait, he seems to have asked something. Mu Baining felt dizzy, as if her brain had short-circuited. Two embarrassing things had happened in 2 minutes, which was really absurd. Fortunately, Mu Ziomo isn't an outsider. It took Mu Baining more than 10 minutes to calm down before she could let go of the matter. What good will seeing it do? If the two of them really end up together, they'll still have to sleep together. She touched her stomach. She hadn't eaten enough to appear to Mu Ziomo that she hadn't eaten enough. Looking at the delicious fish on the table, an idea popped into Mu Baining's mind. How about we go get something else to eat? Anyway, I'm not fat. Let's eat something then. A little, just a tiny bit. Real. Soon, Mu Baining started eating again. Of course, as a girl, she still has the proper ladylike qualities. She savored the fish slowly, the aroma lingering on her tongue. Mu Baining felt that she could eat this kind of fish for a lifetime and never get tired of it. Mu Ziomo's cooking is absolutely amazing. Mu Baining quickly finished her bowl of rice and ate most of the fish. Hiccup Tilda. After letting out a burp, Mu Baining remembered that she hadn't taken her medicine, so she slowly poured herself a glass of water and swallowed the pills. Just then, the door was pulled open from the outside. Ah, Tilda, I'm so tired, dog Ning Ning. Liu Weiwei walked into the room listlessly and immediately sniffed the air. What smells so good? Upon smelling this aroma, Liu Weiwei remembered that she hadn't eaten yet. She rushed to the table and saw that there was still half a fish left. She frowned and asked, Mew, did your boyfriend buy you grilled fish on purpose? Is it that heartwarming? Omega, I'm totally shipping Ning Ning. Ning Ning, if you've met such a good man, just marry him. Yesterday, he told Mu Ziomo that Ning Ning loves grilled fish. I didn't expect him to go and buy it today. The main problem is that the school cafeteria doesn't serve grilled fish at all. If you wanted to buy something, you must have gone to the commercial street across from the school. Mu Ziomo is so sweet. Omega. What are you talking about? Liu Weiwei started imagining things as soon as she got back, which made Mu Baining look at her with disdain. Liu Weiwei chuckled. Ning Ning, can I eat some of the food your boyfriend bought for you? A classmate fainted today and I've been busy until now. Luckily, he's all right and I haven't eaten yet. Eat. Mu Baining isn't such a selfish person. Well, although I'm a little reluctant to part with her. Thank you, Ning Ning, I love you. After saying that, Liu Weiwei ran to the kitchen with great enthusiasm. Upon entering the kitchen, she paused slightly in surprise. The oven looks like it's been used. There are some vegetable scraps on the cutting board and fish innards in the trash can. What's going on? Liu Weiwei opened the rice cooker again and found that there was still rice inside, and the rice was still hot. Could it be? Liu Weiwei's pupils contracted. Could it be that Mu Ziomo personally came over to cook this meal for Ning Ning? With questions in mind, Liu Weiwei quickly left the kitchen and went to Mu Baining's side. With her two big eyes blinking, Mu Baining looked at Liu Weiwei, who was staring at her expectantly, and felt that she had another episode. What's wrong? Mu Baining asked. Did Mu Ziomo come to our dorm? Mu Baining nodded. Then, the grilled fish on the table, did he make it for you himself? Mu Baining nodded again. Ning Ning, I'm so jealous. There aren't many men who can cook anymore. You should marry. Chapter 44, please don't mention Mu Ziomo to me again. Looking at Liu Weiwei's appearance, Mu Baining couldn't help but sigh. Why does this girl seem more anxious than she is? Mu Ziomo is pursuing her, not you, Liu Weiwei, so why are you in such a hurry? Mu Baining expressed her incomprehension and said, All right, Weiwei, I've only known Mu Ziomo for 5 days. Do you think it's possible to truly understand someone in just 5 days? Sure, Liu Weiwei's eyes were full of love as she said with a grin, Look how handsome Mu Ziomo is. If I were you, I would not hesitate to make our relationship official. Then I lay on his chest, touched his abs, and gave him a kiss Georgian. Kala Enus, Omega Georgian Kala Enus. Mu Baining rolled her eyes, looking at him with disdain. This, Liu Weiwei is hopeless. Her mind is full of handsome young men. Don't you know that many handsome men are actually scumbags? There's no way around it. Liu Weiwei is just a hopeless romantic, and the kind of hopeless romantic who's particularly cowardly. She's the kind of girl who can't bear to look at ugly men on the street, but doesn't dare to look at handsome men. Whenever she meets a handsome guy, she won't take the initiative but will instead say to him, "Look at that guy, he's so handsome, can you get his WeChat for me?" Mu Baining said, "All you can think about is abs, handsome guy. Okay, Weiwei, I know what's going on with Mu Omo. You don't need to worry about me. Let's eat first." "Oh, well." She rubbed her stomach and quickly ran into the kitchen to get a large bowl of rice. Then he sat down at the table, picked up a piece of fish with his chopsticks and put it in his mouth. The fish was cold, but in this hot summer, it's still fine to eat something cold. After putting the fish into her mouth, Liu Weiwei chewed it lightly, and then she froze. She couldn't help but exclaim, "My God, I never thought I'd get to eat such a delicious meal. Ning Ning, this fish is so delicious." She slowly turned her head and focused her gaze on Mu Baining, preparing to give Mu Omo a few more assists. Seeing this, Mu Baining quickly said, "Weiwei, don't talk, just keep eating your fish. Please, please don't mention Mu Omo to me again." In the dormitory, after taking a shower, Mu Omo came out wearing a bathrobe. Just then, the system's voice suddenly came to his mind. "Ding, congratulations on completing the mission. You have received 10,000 cash, and the relationship between you and the other party has also been improved." So comfortable, Tilda. Upon hearing the system's voice, Mu Omo felt completely relaxed. "I just don't know when Mu Baining will fall in love with me." Actually, he was very attracted to Mu Baining's body. Of course, this is a normal physiological phenomenon for a boy. After all, Mu Baining is simply too beautiful. It's fair to say that any normal man would want to have a relationship with Mu Baining. If he doesn't, then there's something wrong with him. Before her roommates returned, Mu Omo changed into loose pajamas and started playing the guitar. They didn't sing, though. When he was a child, his younger sister often pestered him to take her to see Miyazaki Hayao's animated films. His favorite piece of music is the theme song of Castle in the Sky, Moonlight Over the Clouds by Joe Hisaishi. Every time I hear this piece, I feel a unique charm. Soon, Mu Omo was immersed in the ocean of music. For the next 10 days or so, Mu Omo led her classmates in military training. Then I would visit Mu Baining in the faculty dormitory regularly, buy her some fruit, and chat with her. By the 9th day, her foot was almost fully recovered, and she was able to walk again. As for system tasks, they did not appear again. He originally thought that tasks would be triggered one after another, but he didn't expect that ever since he made grilled fish for Mu Baining, the system had crashed and could no longer assign tasks. However, there is another task in progress at this time. That is to sing a love song at the welcome party. Mu Omo didn't think much of it. The show had already selected him, and this song, Guest, would surely make him the focus of the entire audience. As for the milk tea shop, Ma Baegyu has already cleaned everything up. The milk tea shop is currently under renovation. Because the newly renovated shop contains formaldehyde, it will take some time to clean up, and it is estimated that it will not open until after the National Day holiday. September 18th. Today is the last day of military training, and also the day of the military training performance. Of course, it also marks the historical period when island nations attacked northeast China. There is a certain significance to choosing today for the military training performance. At 7:30 in the morning, all the students arrived at the playground early, put on their military green uniforms, and stood there straight. Every student looked very serious. After all, it was a special day. And besides, instructor Yang Gang would be leaving after the military training ended. 14 days is not a long time, but after spending these 14 days together, the class has already grown fond of Yang Gang. Of course, it's not something fencing likes. It's the kind of liking that comes from respecting soldiers. It was Yang Gang who made them experience the life and responsibilities of a soldier. "Attention, all men." On the playground, Yang Gang's stern voice rang out. Upon hearing this, the students in the class stood still and did not move. Yang Gang looked at his classmates with great satisfaction. No general dislikes his soldiers, and in Yang Gang's eyes, the students in robotics class 1 were the best. Of course, that's the truth. The students were very well behaved during those 14 days. It was Mu Omo who made him lose face a little, but that's nothing. At ease, Yang Gang softened his serious tone and continued, "Students, the military training performance later will be the time to showcase the results of our 2 weeks of military training. Does everyone have the confidence to beat the students from the other classes? Have. The students in the class spoke up in unison, their morale extremely high. Yang Gang nodded. Now everyone can take a short rest. Mu Xiaomo and Huang Xiaming, you two will lead the team in front. Okay, Instructor Yang. Then the students waited for the military training performance to begin. Meanwhile, in the back row, Huang Wengsu untied his shoelaces and took off his shoes. He had been putting large butterfly-shaped sanitary napkins in his shoes for the past few days. But today, the butterfly-shaped sanitary napkins didn't seem to stick very well, and they kept popping out from the back of his heels when he walked. That's absolutely outrageous. He quickly adjusted the large butterfly, which was fortunately not very noticeable inside the shoe and looked like an insole. Otherwise, the society would be dead. When you're marching in formation later, make sure the glue is on securely so nothing goes wrong. At this moment, a classmate paused slightly, looked Huang Wengsu up and down, and asked, Is this your year of birth sign? Why are you wearing red socks? Huang Wengsu quickly put on his shoes. Who the hell says you can't wear red socks unless it's your zodiac year? Tusk, you're so slutty. Chapter 45, What's Going On? A sanitary napkin falling from the sky. At 8:00 a.m., the preparation phase for the military training performance began. The school radio played the athletes' march as background music, and at the same time, all the students on the playground were ready for their military training performance. Just then, Mu Baining walked over, wearing a white shirt, a black pencil skirt, black stockings, and high heels. As soon as she approached the classroom, many boys turned their attention to her. She was holding 2 bottles of mineral water. After walking over, she first handed one bottle to Mu Xiaomo and then handed the other bottle to Yang Gang. Depend on. This scene made the boys in the class feel a pang of envy. But considering that Mu Xiaomo had been contributing to the class recently and leading them in military training, which was indeed very hard work, this feeling gradually disappeared. Mu Baining walked to the front and back of the classroom, clapped her hands, and said, Classmates, it's time to show the results of your 14 days of military training. I hope you can all be on your toes and do your best when you're marching in formation. If our class gets into the top 3, I'll give you all a little surprise. As soon as she finished speaking, the boys in the class started to stir. At this moment, Bai Yuntao whispered, Hee, a little surprise. What little surprise? I want to see Professor Mu do a striptease. Smack. Then Mu Xiaomo slapped Bai Yuntao on the forehead and angrily said, What did you say? No, nothing, Brother Mo. Bai Yuntao's face darkened. Damn it, he forgot that Mu Xiaomo was right next to him. At the same time, upon hearing Mu Baining's words, Yang Gang shouted loudly, Classmates, did you all hear that? Don't let your advisor down, did you hear me? I heard you. Seeing that the students were in high spirits, Mu Baining nodded in satisfaction and walked up to Yang Gang first. Instructor Yang, you've worked hard these past few days too. Of course. Yang Gang didn't think much of it, and didn't even look at him directly. The main problem is that she was dressed too sexily, and she is also a married woman, although they haven't officially started dating yet. Mu Baining felt that Yang Gang was rather aloof, while her Momo was much more approachable. Before she knew it, Mu Baining walked up to Mu Xiaomo and said, Xiaomo, you've worked hard too. Have some water first. You'll be singing on stage tonight, so take care of your voice and do your best. Yes, Professor Mu, I know. If I win the award, will there be a little surprise? Mu Baining was slightly taken aback. This guy actually wanted a little surprise. I'll slap you twice across the face. Bai Yuntao, standing to the side, felt a pang of sadness. Damn it, Professor Mu actually came over to care about Mu Xiaomo in person. No way, no way. Professor Mu couldn't have really been manipulated by Mu Xiaomo, could he? Soon, the military training performance began. The School of Information Technology, where Mu Xiaomo studied, was located at the front, and the School of Journalism was right behind it. The Robotics Class 1 was the first to perform in the entire School of Information Technology. Therefore, they had to set a good example for the School of Information Technology. Start, let's go. At this moment, Yang Gang spoke, accompanied by the command 121. The students in the class quickly and neatly marched towards the playground. Accompanied by the background music of Athletes' March, they soon stepped onto the playground. At the front of each class, there was a female student holding a sign, and the one holding the sign was Zia Yaoyu. To Zia Yaoyu's left is Mu Xiaomo. At that moment, she was secretly glancing at him, and even slowly moving her body closer to him. The boy in the front row frowned when he saw this, feeling that this was a bit outrageous. Even at a time like this, she's still leaning against him. Some people are envious. After all, Zia Yaoyu was indeed considered a beauty in the class. And because of the prevalence of male students, many boys in the class were very fond of her. But she wasn't interested in anyone else, only in Mu Ziomo. In the past few days, she has also been trying to have awkward conversations with Mu Ziomo. Of course, Mu Ziomo was just giving a perfunctory reply. Time flies. In the blink of an eye, the last class from the School of Journalism finished marching and passed the podium. It will be their turn soon. Just then, Huang Wenxu in the back row sensed something was wrong. A big butterfly looks like it's about to emerge. Huang Wenxu was extremely upset. Damn it, he thought. I should have known better than to wear that big butterfly pad today. But he couldn't stop now. He could only pray in his heart, please don't let the big butterfly out, please don't let it out. Meanwhile, on the podium, a student was reading from a prepared statement. Through wind and rain, we see rainbows. With unwavering strength, we are now marching toward us from the robotics technology class, one of the School of Information Engineering at Shanghai University of Science and Technology. They were dashing and spirited, displaying. Their tenacity and resilience fully demonstrate. As the words were spoken, the students from Robotics Class 1 were about to arrive at the front of the stage. Just then Mu Ziomo shouted, "Look ahead." 1, 2. The students in the class shouted twice, then began to march in neat steps and saluted the podium. On the podium, the Dean of the School of Information Engineering couldn't help but smile after seeing the performance of Class 1, Robotics. These kids in Class 1 did an amazing job. What were those from the School of Journalism who just left? Chen Guozhang jokingly said to the Dean of the School of Journalism, "Look at our school, look at the performance of the robotics class. Your students are far inferior to us." After being mocked by the deans of other colleges, Liu Xikyang's face looked as ugly as if he had swallowed a fly. Just then, something seemed to fall out of the trouser leg of a student in the second-to-last row of the robot class. White. The main problem is that after this white thing fell out, it was kicked by a student in the back row. It flew very high. At this moment, the principal on the podium and the deans of various colleges all focused their attention on this white object. It looks like a sanitary napkin. There's red blood on it. Some sign. Letter FF9F, de letter FF9F, Japanese letter. Everyone was stunned. The thing is, that thing. It looks like it fell out of a guy's pants leg. Do guys need to use that thing now? Good heavens, what's wrong with this world? Even more absurdly, this giant butterfly landed precisely on the class sign of Robotics Class 2. The girl holding the sign looked completely bewildered. What's going on? How come a sanitary napkin suddenly fell from the sky and landed right on their class sign? The main thing is, it's still bloody. You can't shake them off. The students in Robotics Class 2 stared at each other in disbelief. Even their steps became disordered. Holy crap! A sanitary napkin fell from the sky. What the hell is this? It's still bloody. Chapter 46. Huang Wenxu directly loses his right to choose a spouse during university. The instructor of Robot Class 2 also noticed this scene. Although he had many questions in his mind, and was even a little confused like his classmates, he didn't have time to worry about where sanitary napkins came from. 121 forward look. Upon hearing the instructor's voice, the students in the class quickly returned to their normal routine. 1-2, the students began to march in formation. From the audience seats, the entire scene was witnessed by the teachers and students present. The second and third-year students were laughing hysterically at the scene. Who the hell would have thought that a sanitary napkin would fall out of a guy's pants? He was even kicked away, and what's more, he landed on someone else's class sign. If this scene is recorded on video and made public by the school, the boy will permanently lose his right to choose a partner at the school. In the faculty and staff audience section, Liu Weiwei stared blankly at her class's banner. She couldn't help but exclaim, "Ning Ning, this. That's right, Mu Baining was sitting with Liu Weiwei, enjoying the military training performance of their two classes. Then I saw what had just happened. Mu Baining's expression turned sour after hearing Liu Weiwei's words. She took a deep breath and said, "Weiwei, this was an accident." Mu Baining immediately felt incredibly embarrassed. Damn, a grown man wearing sanitary napkins. The world is truly full of wonders. I know, Liu Weiwei sighed, but your classmate is really going too far. You must instill the correct core values in him when you get back. Yes, I will, Mu Baining nodded softly. Soon, Robot Class 2 had already passed by. When they marched in formation, they returned to their normal state. Apart from the sanitary napkins hanging on the class sign being a bit unsightly, their marching was exceptionally standard. However, the entire military training process was captured on camera by the photographer. Perhaps this scene will become a special chapter in the history of Shanghai University of Science and Technology. Holy crap, let me tell you, do you know how outrageous this is? We were marching in formation when suddenly a sanitary napkin flew over. It still has blood on it. Holy crap, thank goodness it didn't hit my face. After completing their marching drills, the military training teams had all assembled in the middle of the parade ground. However, after they stopped, the students in robotics class 2 started discussing the matter. Since class 2 was right next to class 1, the news naturally reached the ears of the students in class 1. Many students in class 1 wore gloating smiles, while Huang Wengsu in the back row lowered his head in embarrassment. Damn it, I didn't expect these red socks to bleed color. When I was marching, I must have kicked my leg too hard and the big butterfly pattern popped out. Then he was kicked away by the student behind him, which led to that embarrassing incident. Huang Wengsu's classmate behind him couldn't help but nudge his shoulder. Dude, this is a bit outrageous. The main problem is that you're wearing red socks. Wearing red is one thing, but could you at least buy some that won't fade? Go away, keep your voice down. At that moment, Huang Wengsu wanted to dig a hole on the spot and bury himself. Fortunately, the military training instructors were there, so the students in class 2 didn't keep making a lot of noise. Huang Wengsu kept praying silently that his classmates wouldn't discover that it was his giant butterfly. If word gets out, how will I ever be able to face anyone? Soon, the surroundings quieted down after the instructor's reprimand. The military training performance proceeded as scheduled. Musayo Omo had no idea about the giant butterfly and simply stood at the very front of his class. An hour and a half later, everyone finished marching in formation, and then it was the girls' turn to perform military boxing. The girls who perform military boxing are all carefully selected. They are all of similar height and have excellent figures. Therefore, this scene provided a feast for the eyes of the boys present. The military boxing match was short-lived. After it ended, the women's formation left the field, and the military training performance of the day came to a close. However, before the meeting ended, the principal held a brief meeting, where he welcomed the new students to Shanghai University of Science and Technology, and expressed his hope that the university would provide them with a fulfilling 4-year experience. Finally, they even did a little advertising, saying that a welcome party would be held at the Magic Science University Art Hall at 7:30 p.m. tonight, and invited all freshmen to attend on time. Soon everyone dispersed. Some students headed towards the exit of the playground after the dismissal, while others said their final goodbyes to their instructors. That's the case here in robotics class 1. Besides Zia Yaoyu, the other 3 girls in the class surrounded Yang Gang, and 2 of them even choked up and cried. Yang Gang then stood by and comforted her. Afterwards, Yang Gang said his final goodbyes to the boys in the class, before finally turning his attention to Musayo Omo. He walked over and looked Musayo Omo up and down seriously. Zaya Omo, you've been helping me lead the students in military training for the past 10 days or so. You're in good health and will definitely be a promising talent in the future. Do your best in university, and I believe your future will be bright. Musayo Omo smiled and nodded in response to Yang Gang's praise. Yang Gang shrugged. If you can't make it in the military, you're welcome to come and join me. I'll stay in the army for the rest of my life. I hope we'll have a chance to compete again in the future. Musayo Omo knew Yang Gang was joking, so he nodded and said, Okay, Instructor Yang, if we have the chance to meet again in the future, I will definitely spar with you again. He thought for a moment and then said, And Instructor Yang, let's add each other on WeChat. Don't forget to post on your WeChat moments when you and Instructor Liu get married, and I'll give you a wedding gift then. Ha ha ha. Hearing Musayo Omo's words, Yang Gang was immediately amused. He took out his phone and said, Okay, I'll invite you to my wedding. Okay. The two added each other on WeChat, and at the same time, the campus loudspeaker started broadcasting. All military training instructors, please assemble on the reviewing stand. All military training instructors, please assemble on the reviewing stand. Upon hearing the voice, Yang Gang smiled and said, All right, Zairomo, all right, classmates, I should go back now. I'm very happy to have met you all. See you again in the martial world. After saying that, he ran towards the podium. Goodbye, instructor. Watching his retreating figure, Musayo Omo sighed. When he turned around, she exclaimed, Damn, none of my 3 sons are here. They'd already run away. Musayo Omo's face darkened. Realizing that there should be many people in the cafeteria at this time, he quickly left the playground. After having lunch in the cafeteria, Muzaya Omo carried a bottle of Happy Fat Boy water into her dormitory. At this moment, Bai Yuntao and Du Yang were laughing hysterically with gloating smiles, while Huang Wengsu's face looked as ugly as if he had swallowed 2 flies. After entering, Muzaya Omo frowned and asked, what are you two laughing about? Did something happy happen? Ha 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 ha, that's hilarious, Moji. Bai Yuntao took the phone and handed it to Muzaya Omo. Look at this video. What video? Muzaya Omo curiously took the phone and clicked the play button. Then a sanitary napkin fell out of Huang Wengsu's pants and was kicked away by a classmate, landing right on the Computer Science Class 2 banner. This is how the video appeared in front of Muzaya Omo's eyes. After watching the video, Muzaya Omo immediately turned her attention to Huang Wengsu. This is awesome, Lao Huang. This move is absolutely amazing. Bai Yuntao laughed and said, that's hilarious. Before we disbanded, I was wondering why there was a sanitary napkin on the ground. Turns out it was yours. However, the fact that there's red dye on it is just ridiculous. I told you not to buy socks on Pinduoduo. These red socks are even fading color, ha. What's even more outrageous is that someone actually filmed it. Stop talking, stop talking. Huang Wengsu looked aggrieved. Damn it, this is so embarrassing. I feel like I've lost my right to choose a partner for the next 4 years of college. Buff. Upon hearing this, the three felt that what Huang Wengsu said made sense. Bai Yuntao joked, so what if you lose it? You're not going to find a partner anyway with your 200-pound weight. Huang Wengsu rolled his eyes after hearing this. You skinny monkey, you think you can find someone who weighs 100 pounds? You're a fraud. Damn, who are you calling a coward? I'm talking about you. Behold my crushing weight. Damn it, Brother Huang, I was wrong. Chapter 47, Why is she talking more and more outrageous? Seeing the two of them bickering, Muzaya Omo shrugged, got into bed, and planned to take a short nap. A good rest will ensure you perform at your best at tonight's welcome party. It was 6:30 p.m. in the faculty and staff dormitory. Ning, it's almost time. Let's hurry to the art hall. At this moment, Liu Weiwei had changed into a white dress and put on light makeup. She planned to go to the art hall with Mu Baining to enjoy the welcome party for the new students. Mu Baining was combing her hair in front of the mirror. She had also changed her clothes, wearing a white short-sleeved shirt and a pair of black slim-fit flared pants. This outfit perfectly accentuated her stunning figure. Mu Baining tied her hair in a ponytail, wore black-rimmed glasses, and then changed into a pair of black patent leather high heels. Her style remains that of a mature and sophisticated woman. Upon hearing Mu Baining's agreement, Liu Weiwei was slightly taken aback. She couldn't help but move closer to Mu Baining and say, that's strange. Ning, you actually agreed. In Liu Weiwei's memory, Mu Baining almost never participated in school parties. That's how it was in college. During college, all she could think about was reading. She was a complete bookworm and never showed any interest in her classmates' performances. Of course, Liu Weiwei had already seen the program schedule for the welcome party. Knowing that Muzaya Omo has a song, this dog Ning must have accompanied her because Muzaya Omo sings. They often say she's a love-struck person, and dog Ning must be too. Upon hearing Liu Weiwei's words, Mu Baining smiled and said, I can't help it. I'm your best friend, and I'm afraid you'll be lonely if I don't go with you. Afraid I'll be lonely. I don't believe you for a second. Liu Weiwei rolled her eyes. This dog Ning still wouldn't admit that she went to see Muzaya Omo. That's so stupid. On the other side, when Muzaya Omo woke up, she found that it was already 6:30. He rubbed his head. Damn, it's already 6:30. After sitting up in bed, Muzaya Omo rubbed her eyes, never expecting that she had slept all afternoon. Damn, it's almost turned into a pig. Looking at the others, Bai Yuntao and Huang Wengsu were both fast asleep in bed, while Du Yang was playing the recently popular game, Peace and Nikki. Muzaya Omo had already arranged with his roommates to have all three of them attend tonight's welcome party. At first, the three of them refused, but after Muzaya Omo mentioned that there were many young ladies wearing black stockings, they all revealed lewd smiles and agreed. After waking Huang Wengsu and Bai Yuntao, Muzaya Omo went into the bathroom to wash her face, tidy her hair, change into a new outfit, and spray some perfume. So he carried his guitar and his 3 sons and left the dormitory, intending to have a meal at the cafeteria first. 7:10 p.m. The Art Hall of Shanghai University of Science and Technology has already gathered many students. The welcome party featured a variety of high-quality performances, and many boys and girls entered the hall hoping to find a partner. Holy crap, so many girls. There are definitely women wearing black stockings. Damn, I'm in love. Let's go, I'm definitely going to sit next to this pretty girl today. As soon as Mu Omo and his roommates entered the art hall, Huang Wenxu and Bai Yuntao couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. Because it is a science and engineering university, there are not many female students. The female students present today probably make up half of the female students in the school. There were far more girls than boys at the event. Since STEM students are generally not interested in these kinds of activities, they'd rather play games in their dorm than come here to watch the welcome party. STEM guys don't deserve love. The hall can accommodate more than 5,000 people, and there are still many empty seats. Mu Omo looked around, then focused her gaze on Huang Wenxu. Hey guys, you guys find a seat first. I'm the third act, so I need to go backstage to prepare. I'll come find you guys after my performance, so remember to save me a seat. Don't worry, Brother Mo, Huang Wenxu nodded, then sheepishly went with Bai Yuntao and Du Yang to find a seat. After the three of them wandered around for a while, Huang Wenxu suddenly saw several young women wearing miniskirts sitting together. They were showing off their white thighs, and one of the girls was even wearing black stockings, while another was wearing fishnet stockings. She has a large bust, but her makeup is a bit heavy. However, her physical strength is quite good. Most importantly, there are seats available for them. Huang Wenxu's expression immediately turned into heart suit letter 1D17 heart suit. He nudged Bai Yuntao with his shoulder, and then his finger sprang out like a spring, pointing at the group of young ladies. Hey, can we sit there? Well, Bai Yuntao looked in the direction Huang Wenxu was pointing, and nodded heavily when he saw the group of hot girls. Xing, this girl is pretty good. Let's go, stop dawdling. After saying that, the three of them sat down. Huang Wenxu, shameless as ever, sat down next to the hot girl in black fishnet stockings. At the same time, the girl also glanced at him curiously. Well, upon seeing Huang Wenxu, she paused slightly, then whispered to the woman on her left, Sister Mei, Sister Tao, this fat guy next to me. Could he be that guy from the forum who used sanitary napkins? Upon hearing her words, both girls glanced at Huang Wenxu. The video was a bit blurry, so his face wasn't clear, but judging from his build, it's hard to say for sure. Both of them shook their heads. Even if it really is him, we can't expose him. At the same time, Huang Wenxu also heard the voice of the girl next to him. His face darkened. Damn it, it seemed he really had lost his 4-year right to choose a partner. Ning Ning, look, it's your Xiao Mo. In the front row, Mu Baining and Liu Weiwei had already taken their seats and secured good spots in the third row. This spot is very close to the stage, so I can have a better view of Mu Omo when she comes on stage later. Just now, Mu Omo happened to pass by here, but she didn't see them and went straight behind the scenes. Mu Baining, standing to the side, felt somewhat helpless. Why did Liu Weiwei always like to make such a fuss? Weiwei, can't you keep your voice down? Why are you so excited when you see Mu Omo? Hey. Liu Weiwei chuckled and scratched her head. There's nothing I can do, he's so handsome and his cooking is so delicious. Let me tell you, after you get together with Mu Omo, you must have her come over and cook for you often. That way I can get lots and lots of delicious meals for free. And also, when you have children in the future, I'll be their godmother. Tell me, what names should you give your children after you have them? After hearing Liu Weiwei's words, Mu Baining had many black lines on her forehead. This Liu Weiwei, she's at it again. Why can't you control your mouth? She hasn't even confirmed her relationship with Mu Omo yet, and she's already thinking about names for her future children. Why is she talking so outrageously? Liu Weiwei, noticing Mu Baining's disdainful expression, quickly shut her mouth as well. Just now, I was indeed a tiny bit excited. She said, hee, Ning Ning, I couldn't control my mouth for a moment, so please don't be mean to me. But I'm really looking forward to Mu Omo's singing. Chapter 40 ate a song that brought Professor Mu to tears. Time flies, and it was already 7:30, the time for the Shanghai University of Science and Technology's welcome party to officially begin. As the music began to play, the lights in the entire art hall suddenly went out. Endless darkness enveloped the surroundings. The students in the audience raised questions, but soon, 2 spotlights suddenly lit up, shining on both sides of the stage. The 2 hosts, a man and a woman, marched in unison from both sides of the stage toward the center. At the same time, the female host, Ru Mengsu, began by saying, Respected teachers, dear students, good evening. After 14 days of military training, We finally welcomed the freshman party at Shanghai University of Science and Technology. On behalf of all the faculty and students of Shanghai University of Science and Technology, I welcome our new students. Splash, splash, splash. Immediately, thunderous applause erupted from the audience. After his remarks, the male host, Song Juns, said, "Next, please welcome the international students from the Chinese Language and Literature Department to perform the martial arts dance Tai Kai Kung Fu Fan for us." The lights were turned off, and a dozen seconds later, 3 black students dressed in white Tai Kai uniforms appeared before everyone's eyes. Holy crap, is that someone from Africa? I've been here for so long, how come I never noticed there were black people at the school? Me too, but black people doing Tai Kai are really something. The students were buzzing with discussion. To be honest, it was the first time they had ever seen a black person practicing Tai Kai. Of course, this is also good. It's a way to promote our country's culture. As for their dances and Tai Kai, they were quite skilled. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Mu Ziomo was tuning the guitar. A senior student from the Student Union's Arts and Culture Department came over and handed Mu Ziomo a bottle of water. She said, "Ziomo, the second performance is about to start. You'll have 10 minutes to perform." "Okay," Mu Ziomo nodded and placed the water on the table. Feng Yuhan continued, "I've listened to your song and I think it's really good. Since it's your original song, do you have a very unforgettable first love? Let me tell you, don't be sad because of your ex. If you are really sad, I can take you out to eat this weekend, take you to play in Shanghai, and we can go to Disneyland together." Mu Ziomo was slightly taken aback. Damn it, his irresistible charm had made another girl fall for him. He shook his head. "Thank you for your concern, senior. I've never had a girlfriend. This song was purely inspired." "Never dated anyone? So you're single now?" Feng Yuhan was delighted to hear Mu Ziomo's words. As someone who had countless suitors, she felt that Mu Ziomo was her type. "Yes, but I already have someone I like." Before Feng Yuhan could reply, Mu Ziomo stood up and smiled at her, saying, "All right, senior, I won't talk to you anymore. It's my turn to go on stage soon, so I'll go get ready." You go ahead." Feng Yuhan licked her lips. Could the person Mu Ziomo likes be her? A moment later, the second program ended, and the host's voice continued to come from the stage. "This program left us wanting more, but the next program will definitely surprise you. Please give a warm round of applause to Mu Ziomo from the School of Information Engineering. He will be performing his original song, Guest." They're here." Upon hearing the host's voice, Huang Wenxu in the back row and Liu Weiwei in the front row spoke at the same time. Mu Baining, Liu Weiwei, Huang Wenxu, Bai Yuntao, and Du Yang all looked up and stared at the center of the stage. Meanwhile, Mu Ziomo, who was backstage, heard the sound and also took her guitar and stepped onto the stage. As soon as he appeared in everyone's sight, the crowd erupted in chaos. "Damn, sister, stop playing on your phone. Look how handsome this guy is." "Wait, isn't this the boy who sparred with instructor Yang before? She can also play the guitar and write original songs. Wow, he's so handsome, he must sing really well too." Many women's eyes lit up when they saw Mu Ziomo, while some boys said, "What is he? He's handsome. But that doesn't necessarily mean he can sing well. I think I'm much better looking than him." Exactly. Guests, what a load of rubbish. Many boys were already feeling envious. At the same time, Mu Baining and Liu Weiwei in the front row looked up at Mu Ziomo. Mu Ziomo had a slightly permed hairstyle with a side part, and wore a simple striped shirt, giving her a pure and youthful look. With his sharply defined features, his looks are enough to outshine many big stars. "Ning, he's so handsome." Liu Weiwei held Mu Baining's hand tightly, extremely excited. Mu Baining was speechless. She no longer wanted to comment on Liu Weiwei. Mu Ziomo, standing on the stage, was slightly taken aback as he looked at the thousands of people present. To be honest, this was the first time he had ever stood on such a stage. Of course, there was no tension. Student council members set up microphones in front of him and connected a guitar with a guitar cable. Mu Ziomo opened his mouth slightly and said, "I'd like to dedicate a song called Guest to everyone. I hope you like it." Then he plucked the strings with his long, slender fingers. The melody of the song Guest is rather melancholic. When the pure sound is transmitted through the speakers and the sound of the strings enters the ears of everyone present, everyone is slightly taken aback. Why is it different from what they expected? Why does this melody feel a bit strange? Is it filled with an atmosphere of sadness? Liu Weiwei and Mu Baining both frowned upon hearing this, as most of those present were confused about Mu Ziomo. After the intro ended, Omo's deep and husky voice came from the speakers. How many winters have passed since we broke up? What day of the week is it today? I sometimes think of you. Your sudden text message caught me off guard, and I stood there stunned. The deep voice, accompanied by a melancholic melody, reached everyone's ears. This is a breakup love song. Some students had already guessed it. They sensed a strange sadness through the singing. They even connected it to their ex-girlfriend, who suddenly handed him a wedding invitation, inviting him to her wedding. This feeling of helplessness and unrequited love welled up in the audience's hearts, and they immediately felt terrible. When everyone was happy for you, I was the only one who realized that someone had already made a wedding dress for you. Thank you for your special invitation to witness your love. I constantly remind myself not to run away. Holding the wedding invitation, I walked step by step toward the venue he had meticulously arranged. Unfortunately, this was a scene meant for you, and I was just a guest. When the chorus started, everyone present was stunned. Damn, this is a sad love song. Now the students know why the song is called Guest. It seems that the guest in the song is Omo. At the same time, hearing the lyrics sung by Omo awakened the first love in many people's hearts. In fact, high school relationships are the purest, and there are definitely quite a few people who have dated in high school. 15 to 18 years old is the age when one's heart begins to stir with romantic feelings. Of course, there were also those who silently protected each other until graduation without ever saying those three words. Many people present felt a lump in their throat, but Omo's singing continued unabated. I let go of all my memories to fulfill your love, but I still refuse to believe that this is fate. It's been a long time since we last met. You seem a bit distant, and your handshake and greetings are so polite. Why should I deliberately hide the fact that you were once part of my world from him? When the chorus ended, most of the girls in the audience burst into tears. Some of the girls were sobbing uncontrollably. There's no way around it. Omo's singing voice is just too captivating. This song is incredibly immersive. The melody pierces the heart like a sharp blade, inevitably stirring up the memory of that special someone within you. This song reminds me of my first love. I'm sorry I ruined him. The person who wrote this song must have a story. Little brother, I have wine, you have a story, let's be together. I feel that this young man has been hurt in love. Young man, let me protect your young heart. The girls in the audience were captivated by Omo's singing. Some people even wanted to become his girlfriend. Meanwhile, the third row, Liu Weiwei stared blankly as she heard Omo's singing. She murmured, "Ning Ning, are you sure Omo is single? I have a feeling he's hiding a girl in his heart." Mu Baining didn't reply, and Liu Weiwei turned her head away, startled. At this moment, she looked up at Omo with her head raised, her lips pursed, and her eyes filled with tears. What is going on? Liu Weiwei was a little confused. This song actually made Mu Baining cry so sadly. Chapter 49, Omo must have a girl he particularly likes, right? Two tear tracks slid down her cheeks. Her eyes were filled with tears, and her expression rippled slightly, like a heartbroken girl who had just broken up. Liu Weiwei was startled by this scene, mainly because, when had Mu Baining ever cried in front of her and cried so sadly? In her memory, Mu Baining had always been a strong woman. During her university years, she could handle everything herself, such as changing light bulbs, dealing with broken water pipes, or even clogged toilets. She could solve these problems easily without relying on others. When something broke, and her roommate wanted to ask a male classmate for help, Mu Baining always refused and fixed it herself. Because of this, Mu Baining received a lot of disdain from her roommates. This also meant that none of her roommates found a partner during their 4 years of college. Since they met in their freshman year of college, she has been quite independent and cold to boys, but she is nicer to them. Even if she suffers any grievances, she will keep them to herself. This was arguably the first time Liu Weiwei had cried in all the years she had known Mu Baining. "Ning Ning, are you all right?" Liu Weiwei quickly took out a tissue from her pocket and gently patted Mu Baining's shoulder. "Your makeup is all messed up from crying. Here's a tissue." After patting her on the shoulder, Mu Baining didn't notice Liu Weiwei handing her a tissue. She didn't realize what was happening until Liu Weiwei shoved her. Mu Baining was slightly taken aback, because Omo's singing was so infectious that she had completely immersed herself in the lyrics. Because she read a lot of novels during the summer vacation, and they were all tragic stories. When she heard this song, she couldn't help but think of the plots in those tragic stories. Then put yourself in that situation. He imagined himself as the he in Omo's song, receiving a wedding invitation from the girl he deeply loved. Just thinking about it brought tears to his eyes. Mu Baning's mind went blank for a moment. Through the singing, he could hear the emotions Mu Omo had put into writing the song Guest. A feeling of bitterness and helplessness welled up inside me. Mu Omo must have been feeling extremely upset at that time, right? If that's the case, then Mu Omo must have a girl he particularly likes, right? The emotions contained in this song are so profound. Mu Baning is quite sensitive about relationships, and she was wondering if she could take that girl's place if she agreed to Mu Omo's request. Thinking of this, Mu Baning felt a pang of disappointment, as if there was an unresolved knot in her heart, and she suddenly felt terrible. She turned to look at Liu Weiwei, and noticing her strange gaze, Mu Baning awkwardly took the tissue from her hand and gently wiped her eyes. Thank you, Weiwei. Ning, are you all right? Seeing Mu Baning crying so sadly and lost in thought for so long, Liu Weiwei was extremely worried. It's nothing. Mu Baning forced a smile and shook her head. I just got caught up in the song Mu Omo sang. I read a lot of angst-filled novels during summer vacation and then... Upon hearing this, Liu Weiwei chuckled. So it was because of the novel. However, this dog Ning usually says that she is devoted to love, but isn't she the same? She was also moved to tears by Mu Omo's singing. Seeing that Mu Baning was all right, Liu Weiwei finally felt relieved. More and more people in the audience choked up. The sorrowful melody struck straight to their souls, and the entire audience was plunged into a deep sadness. Meanwhile, on the stage, Mu Omo's eyes were already fixed on Mu Baning. His slender fingers continued to pluck the strings as always. Seeing Mu Baning's heartbroken appearance, Mu Omo was slightly bewildered. Seriously, Professor Mu cried just like that. Although the lyrics were particularly melancholic, and his voice was exceptionally beautiful, the resulting outcome was truly unexpected. I'm being a bit narcissistic. At this point, we have entered the second segment of Guest. His fingers flew across the guitar as he continued to sing mournful lyrics. Unbeknownst to you, the bell tolls, and you remain where you are, waiting for him to approach. He knelt on one knee, his gentle hand, and slowly raised the diamond ring to your ring finger. I poured out all my memories to celebrate your wedding, but I still didn't have the courage to bless you. Thank you for giving me this final moment of clarity, for allowing me to return to myself. At least I can still be that guest who witnessed your love. Mu Omo plucked the strings one last time, signifying the end of the song. Compared to the first verse, the lyrics of the second verse are more humble. The scene fell silent. Mu Omo closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and after calming down, he leaned closer to the microphone. Thank you, everyone. I hope you all like this song, Guest. His tone was somewhat helpless and humble. As everyone looked up at Mu Omo's figure, and recalling the story in the lyrics, many people believed that he was the male protagonist in the lyrics. All of this is based on his personal experiences. Just then, thunderous applause suddenly erupted from the audience. Splash, splash, splash. A murmur rippled through the audience, and some girls couldn't help but exclaim, Well, I've already cried. I've heard many heartbreaking love songs, but this one is the only one that truly touches my heart. I can already imagine how humble Mu Omo is. I wonder if I will ever meet a boy who loves me that much. Junior, I know your heart is broken. Let me tell you that girl doesn't deserve you. If possible, I'm willing to be your girlfriend. I promise I won't let you down. There were all sorts of comments from the audience, with some even suggesting they would offer themselves to Mu Omo. Meanwhile, in the back row of the hall, Brother Condom, sob, sob, sob. Brother Mo's songs have already entered my heart. Huang Wenxu nestled in Bai Yuntao's arms and began to sob softly, acting all coquettish. Bai Yuntao was speechless. He asked, No, you've never been in a relationship, so why are you crying? Huang Wenxu looked up at him. Have you forgotten? My online girlfriends Zia Yaoyu and Han Simeo. When I think about Zia Yaoyu and Han Simeo becoming someone else's wife, and how I would feel very sad when I received their wedding invitations. Bai Yuntao frowned. If nothing unexpected happens, you shouldn't receive their wedding invitation. Also, don't fucking lie on my lap. My legs can't support your 200-pound weight. I don't want to. Du Yang chuckled from the side. This drama queen Huang Wenxu was truly something else. Chapter 50, What is it about this boy that makes him so likable? After the performance, Mu Omo, holding her guitar, bowed to the audience and then quickly left the stage. Many girls watched Mu Omo's departing figure, their expressions filled with disappointment. Don't go, little brother. Your singing is so beautiful, could you sing another song? Yes, yes, after listening to your song, I feel like I'm already in love. Hey bro, I love you. If you can accept me, I'll break up with my boyfriend right now. Excuse me, how can I contact this young man? I'd like to be his sword sheath. Luckily, I'm smart. I've already posted on the white wall. You must add my contact information later, handsome. Upon hearing this, several girls around immediately slapped their thighs. Yeah, why didn't they think of posting on the white wall? Immediately, many girls opened their phones, some posting photos, others sending text messages, directly confessing their feelings to Muzaya Omo on the Magic University's confession wall. Backstage, after singing a song, Muzaya Omo felt her mouth was dry. He truly sang, guessed with feeling, and the response should be quite good. After all, the mission was to make him the center of attention. He felt he had done a good job, and he thought he had completed the mission. The system's voice hasn't appeared yet, but Muzaya Omo isn't in a hurry. The system is always a little late. Just as Muzaya Omo was lost in thought, Feng Yuhen walked over again with the same bottle of water. Ziomo, have some water, she said softly. Muziomo looked up and noticed that her eyes were red, as if she had been crying. Muziomo was slightly taken aback. He didn't want to get involved with her, but he still asked out of kindness, "Senior, why are your eyes red?" "It's nothing." Feng Yuhen smiled and shook her head. "Your singing really touched my heart just now, and then I couldn't help but cry." "I'm sorry." Muziomo didn't know how to answer her, so she only said these 3 words. "It's okay, it's okay." She directly shoved the water into his hand. "It's not your fault. The fact that you cried while listening to me means you're talented. By the way, I also enjoy music composition. Could I show you some of the songs I wrote next time?" Muziomo looked around. There were still quite a few people behind the scenes. Directly refusing Feng Yuhan would indeed be a bit disrespectful to her. Out of politeness, Muziomo nodded. "Of course, you can ask me anytime if you don't understand anything." "Okay, okay." Seeing Muziomo agree, Feng Yuhan immediately showed a faint smile and nodded excitedly. Meanwhile, Muziomo thought to herself, "What the hell am I supposed to read the songs you wrote? I added you on WeChat last time out of politeness. Now that the welcome party is over and we'll never see each other again anyway, I'm going to block you as soon as I get back." Both of them had faint smiles on their faces. Feng Yuhan noticed that Muziomo was smiling at her, and she immediately felt that love had arrived. Her pretty face flushed red. At this moment, Muziomo probably wanted to say a lot to her. Feng Yuhan, who often read dating guides, said that this was the time to make a strategic retreat, because we need to keep him hanging on. When the other person is really eager to chat with you, you should back off. This will stimulate their desire to chat with you again. After we finish playing, Muziomo will definitely take the initiative to find her. So Feng Yuhan said, "Junior brother Ziomo, I have other things to do, so I won't bother you any longer. I'll go take care of it now. Bye." She waved to Muziomo and quickly left. Muziomo was stunned. "Sai, that's really awesome. This girl just left like that." He was just wondering what to do if Feng Yuhan kept pestering him. "I never expected him to leave like this. It's truly a stroke of luck." Muziomo was in a good mood. She turned on the tap, took a sip of water, and then opened her phone and found Huang Wenxu's chat window. "Hey bro, did you save me a spot? I'm coming to find you right now." Huang Wenxu replied to his message immediately. "We have to take it. Brother Mo, we're in the middle row 24, seat number 56. "Okay, Tilda." Muziomo replied with an okay, put the guitar in its case, left the backstage area, and went to the front stage to find Huang Wenxu. Upon seeing a girl in black fishnet stockings next to Huang Wenxu, Muziomo rolled her eyes. "No wonder he's Huang Wenxu. He's really damn Huang. Brother Mo is here. Come, come, please have a seat." Huang Wenxu stood up and made Muziomo sit next to the hungry younger sister wearing a fishing net. Then Du Yang and Bai Yuntao moved to the right and sat down. Muziomo asked, "How was my singing? Was it all right?" "They must be punished." Huang Wenxu slapped his thigh, then brought his mouth close to Muziomo's ear and said in a voice only he could hear, "Brother Mo, those 2 girls next to you wearing black fishnet stockings are crying. They just said they wanted to add you on WeChat." Muziomo paused for a moment, her gaze unconsciously drifting to their legs. "Wow, she does have a great figure." Of course, he was just looking at her with admiration. Huang Wenxu continued, "Brother Mo, why don't you add them on WeChat and then send it to me?" Upon hearing this, Muziomo asked softly, "What's wrong? Have you found love again?" "He," Huang Wenxu nodded with a mischievous grin. "No." Muziomo didn't agree to his request. "Stop talking nonsense and let's continue watching the welcome party performance." How stingy. Huang Wenxu didn't think much of it, and continued to enjoy the performances at the New Year's Eve party. The following programs were also very interesting. The skit made the whole audience burst into laughter, and the songs sung by the students afterwards were also particularly beautiful. Meanwhile, in another corner of Shanghai University of Science and Technology, I want to confess my feelings to Junior Mu Ziomo. His song touched my heart. I want to have his babies. I want to confess my feelings to the guy who sang Guest today. I hope he sees this and adds me on WeChat. Foo 4. I want to confess to the guy who sang tonight. I love you, letter FF89, Omega letter FF89. Please give me a chance to pursue you. Please send me a strong, one-on-one message. At Shanghai University of Science and Technology, the student in charge of operating the campus confession wall stared blankly at the barrage of messages on his phone. At this point, the number of unread messages had reached 99 plus, and there were an astonishing 474 friend requests. Moreover, the number of people confessing their feelings to Mu Ziomo is still increasing. The person in charge of managing the confession wall was completely bewildered. She hadn't attended the welcome party that night and had no idea what had happened there. Mu Ziomo, she murmured to herself. He does look quite handsome in the photos, but surely not hundreds of people would confess their love to him at the same time. What is it about this boy that makes him so likable? Chapter 51, Ningning. Look at the school's confession wall. Time flies, and it was already 10 p.m. After more than 20 performances, the two young hosts walked to the center of the stage. They still wore professional smiles. The female host, Ru Mengsu, said, "The spring flowers have faded, and our Shanghai University of Science and Technology's welcome party is also coming to an end. At this moment, we gather together, old and new classmates, to embark on our dreams. At this moment, we gather together to wish magic science an even more magnificent and glorious future. Let us forever remember this unforgettable night, and let us once again give a warm round of applause to thank all the leaders, teachers, and students for coming. I hereby declare the Shanghai University of Science and Technology's welcome party a complete success this year. See you next year. Goodbye, students. Goodbye, Tilda. Splash, splash, splash." After a round of loud applause, the students left their seats and prepared to return to their dormitories to rest. Tomorrow is the first day of classes, so I should go back early to rest and get some sleep to be well rested for my first university class. Mu Ziomo, Huang Wenxu, Du Yang, and Bai Yuntao all stood up and slowly walked towards the outer corridor. Just then, the senior student wearing a fishing net, who had been standing next to Mu Ziomo, gently patted Huang Wenxu on the shoulder. "Junior, can I add you on WeChat?" Huh? Huang Wenxu was completely stunned when he heard that his senior wanted to add him on WeChat. Could it be that my love is finally coming, and with such a beautiful hottie? He took a deep breath. Okay. Huang Wenxu took out his phone without hesitation and opened WeChat's scan function. "I'll sweep you." "Okay, sure, Tilda." The two added each other on WeChat. When Huang Wenxu looked up again, he found that his roommate was no longer there. Meanwhile, outside the art hall, on the way to the faculty and staff dormitory, Mu Baining and Liu Weiwei were walking together towards their dormitory. Liu Weiwei was jumping around excitedly, while Mu Baining's eyes were dim, as if she had something on her mind. Liu Weiwei, who was standing to the side, had already noticed that Mu Baining was in a bad mood. She stared at her expectantly and asked curiously, Ningning, what's wrong with you? Why are you so absent-minded after listening to your boyfriend's song?" Upon hearing this, Mu Baining sighed softly. Sigh Tilda, she stared straight ahead and said, "Weiwei, I feel that Mu Ziomo is different from other boys." Different? Upon hearing this, Liu Weiwei thought for a moment and nodded. "Yeah, I also feel that she's different. She's so handsome, Omega, and she cooks really well, and her voice is nice too." Oh, // Q. Liu Weiwei blushed as she said this. Ningning, I'm so envious of. Mu Baining was speechless, and even wanted to kick Liu Weiwei. Liu Weiwei's expression turned serious. "So, Ningning, you mean? How is Mu Ziomo different from other boys?" Mu Baining replied, "I didn't have this feeling before Mu Ziomo sang, but after listening to his song, Guest, just now, this feeling grew from my heart." Liu Weiwei frowned and asked, "So, I feel that there is a girl living in Mu Ziomo's heart. He seems very mature, otherwise he wouldn't have written such a song." Liu Weiwei was completely confused after hearing Mu Baining's words. Liu Weiwei didn't think so. She said, "Ningning, I think you're overthinking it. He probably wrote the song because of inspiration. Besides, he's only 19. Who gets married at 19? Hearing Liu Weiwei's words, Mu Baining pursed her lips and continued. What if the inspiration came from breaking up with his girlfriend? Stop talking nonsense. Liu Weiwei rolled her eyes. Mu Baining used to say that she was sensitive, but after Mu Xiaomo came along, she became like this too. Why are you starting to overthink things too? Tusk, tusk, tusk. Sure enough, when you have someone in your heart, this is what happens. Ning Ning, why don't I ask him for you? Ugh, Tilda, I don't need to. Mu Baining looked helpless, feeling like this knot in her heart could never be untied. The two returned to their dormitory. Mu Baining changed into a bathrobe, picked up a bath towel, and looked at Liu Weiwei, saying, Weiwei, I'm going to take a shower first. You can shower after I'm done. Good. Liu Weiwei smiled and nodded. She was already lying in bed and took out her phone. Upon seeing the penguin icon on her phone, Liu Weiwei realized that she hadn't opened QQ in a long time. I've been using WeChat since college. I only used QQ back in high school. With that in mind, she clicked on the link and decided to check out her high school classmates' QQ spaces. I've lost touch with many of my high school classmates, and I wonder how my best friends from high school are doing now. Soon, she opened QQ space. At this moment, Liu Weiwei was surprised to find that the first post was actually from the confession wall of Shanghai University of Science and Technology. She then remembered that she must have joined the Magic Science University confession wall a year ago. When she was a senior in college, she and Mu Baining agreed to come here as mentors. In order to be the first to gossip about the Magic University, they first added the confession wall of the Magic University. Liu Weiwei, who enjoys gossip, likes browsing these kinds of updates, and she curiously opened 9 pictures. I want to confess my feelings to Junior Mu Xiaomo. His song touched my heart. I want to have his babies. I want to express my admiration for the young man who sang Guest today. I hope he will add me on WeChat after he sees this. The guy who sang Guest today was so handsome, and his voice was so beautiful. I'm just posting this because he's so amazing. I'm not good enough for him. Liu Weiwei was stunned after seeing the confession message. Why are all these people confessing their love to Mu Xiaomo? She swiped her phone screen and found that her QQ status was completely flooded with posts about the confession wall of Shanghai University of Science and Technology. Moreover, most of these posts were declarations of love for Mu Xiaomo. That's incredibly outrageous. Below, a group of female classmates commented, saying things like, Brother Xiaomo added me. This, Liu Weiwei swallowed hard. Had Mu Xiaomo become this popular after only singing one song? Moreover, she felt that the song Guest was just so-so. It's because she lacks knowledge and skills. Liu Weiwei glanced at the list and saw that within an hour, 50 or 60 people had confessed their feelings to Mu Xiaomo. This number is absolutely terrifying. About 15 minutes later, Mu Baining, wrapped in a bathrobe, walked out of the bathroom. At the same time, Liu Weiwei quickly said, Ning Ning, look at the school's confession wall. Chapter 52, Mu Baining felt the pressure. Confession wall. After taking a shower, Mu Baining looked at Liu Weiwei, who was so eager, and suddenly remembered that when they were seniors, Liu Weiwei often gossiped with her about the funny things that happened on the confession wall at the University of Science and Technology of China. She remembered a handsome young man who frequently posted confessions on the confession wall. Liu Weiwei directly regarded him as her idol, and even said that after she became a mentor at the Magic Science University, she would directly pursue this young man. But after a while, this guy found a girlfriend, and his classmates posted about it on the confession wall, which made Liu Weiwei feel emo for a long time. Mu Baining said, Weiwei, I'm not interested in the confession wall at Magic Science University. Did you see another handsome guy? You should stop gossiping, open your mouth, take action, and be more proactive to find a partner. Liu Weiwei rolled her eyes after hearing Mu Baining's words. Are you kidding me? You said she doesn't open her mouth or move her legs. I should be saying that to you. If you don't respond to Mu Xiaomo soon, your Xiaomo will be snatched away by other classmates. Boys are visual creatures, and according to her observations, there are quite a few pretty girls at Magic University. Although Mu Baining isn't ugly, she's a tiny bit less so compared to her. But Mu Baining is definitely worthy of Mu Xiaomo. If she keeps refusing to agree to Mu Xiaomo's advances, Mu Xiaomo will definitely be snatched away by someone else. Thinking of this, Liu Weiwei shook her head. No, if Mu Xiaomo gets kidnapped, she won't be able to get his grilled fish for free anymore. Being a wingman between two people, Liu Weiwei said it was really too difficult for her. Liu Weiwei was heartbroken. She couldn't understand why Mu Baining kept refusing to agree to Mu Xiaomo's request. She doesn't even initiate conversations with Mu Xiaomo normally. She's such a straight-laced girl. Liu Weiwei snorted and said seriously, Gu Ningning, now is not the time for you to lecture me. Let me tell you, you are already in the danger zone. Your Xiaomo has been kidnapped by other girls. What? Upon hearing the name Mu Xiaomo, Mu Baining immediately raised her head and asked, What do you mean? Here, take a look for yourself. Liu Weiwei handed over her phone, while Mu Baining curiously examined it. Her pupils contracted sharply upon seeing the content on the screen. This is the confession wall at Magic Science University, filled with messages confessing to Mu Xiaomo. To be honest, Mu Baining had considered having Mu Xiaomo post her confession on the confession wall, but she didn't expect so many people to confess to her. Her heart tightened instantly, and a sense of crisis welled up in her heart for no apparent reason. Noticing Mu Baining's expression, Liu Weiwei said, You see how popular your Momo is, right? Since you like him and he likes you, and you both love each other, why don't you agree? It will be too late to regret it once your Momo is taken away. No, Weiwei, Mu Baining shook her head. Actually, I don't know if I like him or not. No, I like him, but I don't really know him yet. I just don't want to settle. Weiwei, I'm so afraid of breaking up. What I want is a relationship that can lead to marriage. Separate. Liu Weiwei murmured, We haven't even defined our relationship yet, and she already wants to break up. What kind of thought process is that? Although my thought process is sometimes a bit erratic, Liu Weiwei felt that Mu Baining had become less intelligent ever since she met Mu Xiaomo. Yes, Mu Baining nodded. We haven't known each other for very long. Haven't you seen TV dramas or read novels? A guy is completely different before he pursues a girl and after they get together. Moreover, after listening to his songs, I felt that there was a girl in his heart, and I'm afraid I can't replace that girl. Liu Weiwei retorted, This isn't a TV series or a novel. What kind of girl would a 18 or 19-year-old have in mind? Ningning, you're overthinking it. You've seen how many girls have confessed their feelings to Mu Xiaomo. Anyway, if you don't respond soon, he'll be snatched away by another girl. Upon hearing Liu Weiwei's words, Mu Baining suddenly felt a little flustered. Then, what should I do? If I'm too proactive, I feel like I won't be cherished by the boys. Liu Weiwei said, I didn't ask you to be very proactive. You can just chat with him and then go out to eat together. Our school doesn't forbid teacher-student relationships, right? Mu Baining, that's true, but... No buts, Liu Weiwei shook her head. If you don't cherish him, he'll leave. Don't worry, listen to me, I'll write you a quiet approach plan right now. Mu Baining swallowed and nodded slightly. She knew that if she dragged it out any longer, Mu Xiaomo might really be tricked by someone else. It's time to do something. Then write it down, and I'll take a look when you're done. Okay, Tilda. Liu Weiwei chuckled. This Ningning was finally feeling the pressure. Although she had never been in a relationship, she knew how to pursue boys. Liu Weiwei quickly opened her phone's notes app and wrote a few words in the title. Approach the plan silently. Ding, congratulations, host, for completing the mission. You have obtained the God-level culinary skills. Mu Xiaomo was lying in bed playing on her phone when the system's voice came through. Upon hearing the sound, Mu Xiaomo was overjoyed. The task is finally complete. Does that mean Mu Baining is one step closer to becoming his girlfriend? More importantly, he also gained God-level cooking skills. At this moment, many delicious recipes appeared out of thin air in his mind, and he felt that his cooking skills had made a qualitative leap. Just then, the system's voice appeared again. Guide, you two have already gained a basic understanding of each other, and your relationship has been further enhanced. In future interactions, you can be a little bad, which will help your feelings heat up quickly. Noticing the system's voice, Mu Xiaomo was somewhat puzzled. Worse still, how bad? Could it be that he's going to barge into Mu Baining's dorm and act like a hooligan? If he really does that, he'll definitely be in jail tomorrow. Holy crap! Just as Mu Xiaomo was in a daze, Huang Wenxu suddenly barked like a dog. The dog's bark startled him. Mu Xiaomo looked at Huang Wenxu with the eyes of someone looking at an idiot. Holy crap, Huang, are you out of your mind? What are you barking like a dog for? Big news, Moji. Huang Wenxu stared at his phone. You know I got asked for WeChat by the senior in black stockings. I'm chatting with her right now and she just mentioned you. You mentioned me. Mu Xiaomo was taken aback, because last time Huang Wenxu, that bastard, had leaked his WeChat account because too many people had added him. Left with no other choice, he had to change his WeChat ID. This thing can only be changed once a year. If this bastard leaks his WeChat account again, he's finished. Yes. Huang Wengsu nodded. Brother Mo, you've been posted on the confession wall. Chapter 53, Mu Baining. I still owe you a meal. I'll treat you to dinner this weekend. Put it on the confession wall. Upon hearing this, Mu Ziomo felt no surprise at all that he had been on the confession wall. In high school, because of his good looks and the awards he won at the school sports meet, he had been on the confession wall more than 10 times. However, I was focused on my studies at the time and didn't pay much attention to it, planning to start dating in college. After the welcome party just ended, quite a few girls wanted to add him on WeChat. I've always been popular, so it's perfectly normal for me to appear on the confession wall once. Oh, Mu Ziomo nodded calmly. Huang Wengsu then asked, aren't you going to ask how many people have confessed to you? Mu Ziomo shrugged. How many more could there be? It can't be a few hundred, can it? Huang Wengsu gasped. How could Mu Ziomo have guessed so accurately? He nodded, that's right, just a few hundred. Huang Wengsu looked jealous and said, my senior just told me that she wanted your contact information, etc. At that moment, Huang Wengsu suddenly realized something. Last time, Han Samil seemed to have used the same trick on him. After giving her WeChat, I immediately deleted her. To be honest, I had a really good chat with that senior student just now. Before they knew it, the conversation had turned to Mu Ziomo, and they had even just asked for Mu Ziomo's WeChat. Depend on. Huang Wengsu was speechless. He had been fooled once before, how could he possibly fall for it a second time? He then thought, why not give her his own alternate account, impersonate Mu Ziomo and trick her a little? Huang Wengsu felt that this method was punishable by law. Just as Huang Wengsu was thinking of doing something wicked, Mu Ziomo's voice came. I don't care if hundreds of people confess to me, Lao Huang. Let me tell you, this time don't be stupid enough to give my WeChat to someone else, understand? I know. Huang Wengsu nodded. Brother Ming, I'm not that kind of person. I was careless last time. Mu Ziomo rolled her eyes. Are you sure you're not just driven by lust? Huang Wengsu's face darkened. Brother Mo, don't expose me. Get out. Mu Ziomo didn't take it seriously, but it was indeed a bit outrageous that hundreds of people were confessing their love to him. Am I really that popular? At that moment, Bai Yuntao opened the QQ space of the Magic Science University's confession wall. Just as Huang Wengsu said, posts confessing their love to Mu Ziomo have gone viral. The number is still increasing. Bai Yuntao was filled with envy at what he saw. In fact, many girls with gleaming eyes were asking for his contact information in the comments section. At this moment, Bai Yuntao had a sudden inspiration and asked, holy crap, your confession is really damn good. Brother Mo, since you're so popular, can I sell your WeChat account for 10 yuan each? Do you think anyone would buy it? What the hell? Mu Ziomo looked at Bai Yuntao. It's a punishment. Let's see if you can deliver it faster or my fist can. Hearing this. Bai Yuntao shrank his neck and couldn't help but think of the time when Mu Ziomo and instructor Yang were sparring. Bai Yuntao chose, following his heart, and said, Brother Mo, I was just joking. Of course, Bai Yuntao was just joking. After all, this kind of thing can't be sold casually. Mu Ziomo chuckled. Bai Yuntao had clearly chickened out just now. I was just kidding, just keep it a secret for me. Okay, brothers, go to sleep. Do Yang turn off the lights. Morning self-study starts at 7:50. Okay, Tilda. Soon, Du Yang turned off the dormitory light with a click. Meanwhile, in the faculty dormitory, it was already 11:30, and the lights were still on in the room where Mu Baining and Liu Weiwei lived. At this moment, both of them were wearing pink pajamas and sitting on the bed. Mu Baining's eyelids twitched, and her expression turned somewhat unpleasant after seeing the silent approach plan that Liu Weiwei had written for her. Weiwei, are you sure this is a plan to get closer quietly, and not something that will turn me into a simp? What do you know? Liu Weiwei snatched the phone from Mu Baining's hand and said, how is this being a simp? This is clearly for Momo's hobby. She looked at the quiet approach plan she had come up with after thinking about it for a long time on her phone. If Mu Baining did it, it would definitely move Mu Ziomo to tears. On the phone screen, there were many plans. 1. Send Momo a good morning, good afternoon, and good night message every day, and remind him to drink 8 cups of water every day. 2. You must keep in touch with Momo at all times. Momo's words are absolute, and you must reply to messages immediately. 3. When Momo is unhappy, you should comfort him. When Momo is hungry, you should feed him. 4. Most importantly, buy breakfast for Momo every day, and keep pestering Momo to be affectionate with him every day. Liu Weiwei looked at the plan she had written and wondered if there was anything wrong with it. Isn't the ideal of love in a girl's heart simply being inseparable every day? And as a couple, shouldn't you think about each other and reply to messages instantly? Seeing Mu Baining's disdainful look, Liu Weiwei said, Ning Ning, it's normal that you don't know anything because you've never been in a relationship. I have experience with these things, so just do it without worry. Actually, you're just too aloof. If you take the initiative, there won't be any problem. Mu Baining was speechless. It was true that she hadn't been in a relationship, but Liu Weiwei, you've been in one. If she really did these things, how would Mu Omo view her? Hey, forget it. The thought of begging Mu Omo to stick to her makes her skin crawl. She would never do something like being a simp. Upon hearing Mu Baining's words, Liu Weiwei pouted and said, You stinky Ning Ning, you never listened to your elders. You'll regret it. I'm not going to talk to you anymore. Just wait and see what happens. After saying that, Liu Weiwei threw her phone on the bed. I have to supervise the morning self-study tomorrow morning, and both classes have professional courses. Ning Ning, you should go to sleep too. I'm going to take a shower. Okay, go ahead. Seeing Liu Weiwei's angry expression, Mu Baining chuckled. Liu Weiwei took off her clothes and went into the bathroom, while Mu Baining sat on the bed and admired her straight, jade-like legs. What Liu Weiwei just wrote is utter nonsense. There's no need to write the silent approach plan, but it's certainly possible to take the initiative yourself. After all, Mu Omo had already done enough for him during this period of time. She should try to accept her bratty younger brother. The essence of love is mutual attraction. Since she still owes Mu Omo a meal, she'll reluctantly cook one for her. This time, Mu Baining chose to take the initiative. So she took her phone and sent a message to Mu Omo. Omo, I still owe you a meal. I'll treat you to dinner this weekend. Chapter 54. You didn't tell anyone that I was going to treat you to dinner, did you? On the other side, Mu Omo's phone rang. Beep, beep, Tilda. He had just put his phone down and was about to go to sleep when he received a message. Mu Omo looked a little impatient. He had class tomorrow. What idiot was sending him a message at this time? After taking a look, so it's Mu Baining. Mu Omo chose to take back what she had just said. Then he opened his chat window with Mu Baining and was overjoyed to see the message. Zhen Nizi finally remembered to invite him to dinner. So much time had passed, he thought Mu Baining had forgotten about this meal. But it's not bad that you could still think of this at this time. So Mu Omo quickly replied, Sure, Professor Mu, I won't be polite this weekend. Mu Baining gave him a curt, and Mu Omo put down his phone, thinking that Mu Baining wouldn't contact him again. But then the phone rang again. He had no choice but to pick up his phone again, and Mu Baining sent him another message. Don't tell anyone about this, not a single person, especially not your roommates. Upon seeing this message, Mu Omo chuckled. Professor Mu is trying to hide their relationship. But thinking about it, it makes sense. If Mu Baining invites him to dinner, people might misunderstand. If they mistake it for a teacher-student relationship, it will definitely cause a huge uproar. While this isn't necessarily a bad thing, it will certainly disrupt their lives. So Mu Omo replied, Don't worry, Professor Mu, I won't tell anyone. Then he changed his mind and typed, Go to sleep quickly, staying up late will make your skin sag. After sending the message, Mu Omo put down her phone. On the other side, Mu Baining was completely dumbfounded after seeing Mu Omo's message. What the heck? Sagging? Could it be sagging breasts? So Mu Baining quickly covered herself with the blanket, turned off the light, and went to sleep. As a result, when Liu Weiwei came out of the shower, she was groping around in the dark when her knee slammed into the table leg with a loud thud. Hey, Ning Ning, why did you turn off the light? The next day at 6:30 in the morning, Mu Omo opened her eyes. Because of military training, his daily routine has been adjusted back. However, the three roommates were still sleeping like pigs. Huang Wenxu in particular snores so loudly it's deafening. Luckily, he had prepared earplugs in advance, so he wasn't kept awake by the noise. After washing up, Mu Omo first woke up Bai Yuntao and Du Yang, and then went to Huang Wenxu's bedside. Looking at his fleshy face and the drool dripping from the corner of his mouth, Mu Omo felt nauseous. Old Huang, wake up, stop sleeping, get up and go to morning self-study. Huang Wenxu rolled over, smacking his lips as he said, Don't bother me, little sister, you're so pretty. Play with your fat grandpa for a while longer. Damn it, Mu Omo's face darkened. Damn it, it seems Huang Wenxu was having a wet dream. Old Huang, Mu Omo patted his back. This guy was sleeping like a dead pig, so Mu Omo said, Old Huang, there are a lot of girls in black stockings on the playground. Let's go take a look. Huh, black stockings girl? Where's the black stockings girl? Huang Wengsu woke up immediately and sat up abruptly. Even the drool at the corners of his mouth was stringy. Mu Xiaomo Du Yang and Bai Yuntao all looked disgusted. This is absolutely outrageous. Normally, when I call you to wake up, you don't react at all, but as soon as I mention black stockings girl, you wake up. What black stockings girl? Get up now, it's time for morning self-study. Damn it, Huang Wengsu's face darkened. Do you know that I was having a date with my goddess in my dream? Then you can continue, I won't bother you anymore. Mu Xiaomo completely ignored his words. This guy, why is his mind full of thoughts about his sister? He must have been fantasizing about her a lot. After packing her things, Mu Xiaomo and her roommate went downstairs, bought some breakfast at the cafeteria, and then went to the study room to study. Mu Baining didn't come over during that time. Actually, it's very difficult to see your advisor in college. But Mu Baining was different. She was both a counselor and a professor of her major, so I could see her almost every day. Of course, this is fine too. At 8:20, the students of Robotics Class 1 entered the laboratory building together and waited for Mu Baining's arrival in a classroom filled with various robots. The classroom was filled with drones, robot dogs, robotic arms, and other machines, making it feel like stepping into a science fiction movie. Boys, especially those in science and engineering, are generally interested in technological products. Professor Mu hadn't arrived yet, and the students looked at the robots with great curiosity. After about 5 or 6 minutes, the sound of crisp high heels echoed down the corridor. Duh-duh-duh. Upon hearing the voice, the students knew that Professor Mu must have arrived. Professor Mu is here. Do you think she's wearing black stockings today? Damn it, you look like a black stocking to me. Why is your mind full of black stockings? No, there are also white stockings, fishnets, and over-the-knee socks. The student rolled his eyes, and soon, Mu Baining walked from the corridor into the classroom. Today, instead of wearing the black stockings that her classmates liked, she wore a white tank top, revealing her toned midriff, with a short black jacket over it and loose jeans and high heels. She's definitely a hot girl, so sexy. The main thing is that Professor Mu has abs, which surprised the boys present. The classmates stared intently at Mu Baining. It has to be said that Mu Baining looks good in any clothes. Hello, students. She smiled and spoke, then walked to the podium, placed the lesson plan on it, and her gaze fell on Mu Xiaomo. The students quickly found their seats and quieted down. Mu Baining looked at the students in the class and then focused her gaze on him. Xiaomo, have you taken a head count? Upon hearing this, Mu Xiaomo nodded. Professor Mu, we've already ordered in advance and everyone is here. Mu Baining nodded with satisfaction. Mu Xiaomo did a good job. She even knew to count the number of people in advance. She said, well, students, let's start class. Today is the first class. The reason I brought you here is to introduce you to robots and the fields in which they are used. Soon, Mu Baining began to talk incessantly to her classmates. The robotics major has a promising future. After all, we can't live without intelligence in the future, and robots have played a huge role in the medical and engineering industries. After introducing some current popular robot trends and her views on the future of robots, Mu Baining invited the students to visit the robots in the classroom. These robots were purchased by the school at great expense. The robots have complex mechanisms, so the students need to understand their structure first. Of course, the students were all very happy to accept. A moment later, Mu Baining couldn't help but come to Mu Xiaomo's side. Perhaps it was her interest in him, but an inexplicable attraction kept drawing Mu Baining closer to Mu Xiaomo. At that moment, Mu Xiaomo was observing a robotic dog when Mu Baining's voice suddenly came from beside her. So, Xiaomo, did you understand what I just said? Mu Xiaomo turned around and nodded. Of course, I can understand. Okay, that's good. Mu Baining nodded, then suddenly remembered what she had said last night and couldn't help but ask. You didn't tell anyone that I was going to treat you to dinner, did you? Chapter 55, did Mu Xiaomo just carry Professor Mu out like that? Mu Xiaomo was slightly taken aback when she heard this. She didn't expect Mu Baining to distrust her so much. Is he such a big mouth? Shaking her head, Mu Xiaomo said, Professor Mu, you're overthinking it. How could I possibly tell anyone? He glanced around at his classmates. But Professor Mu, with so many students around, I'm not sure if they heard me. Mu Baining was clearly a little confused. Her eyes became somewhat restless. She looked around at her classmates and only relaxed after confirming that no one had heard her. Mu Baining felt that she shouldn't keep talking to Mu Xiaomo in this situation, lest it cause any misunderstandings. So she quickly changed the subject. Classmates, in 10 minutes I will disassemble a robotic arm for you so that you can have a more intuitive understanding of the structure of a robot. Good. Okay. By this time, the students in the class had developed a strong interest in robots. 10 minutes later, Mu Baining was surrounded by her classmates, who were preparing to disassemble a robot's arm. This arm is the same size as a normal person's arm and is mainly used on people with disabilities. It enables people with disabilities to perform simple movements and helps them in their daily lives. Mu Baining said, I need an assistant now, so how about you, Mu Xiaomo? Mu Baining said those words almost without thinking. At the same time, many boys in the class turned pale upon hearing this. Damn, this is way too deliberate. Asking Mu Xiaomo to be her assistant so readily. Mu Xiaomo's family must be incredibly lucky. Is appearance really that important? However, being Professor Mu's partner is indeed a great privilege. Many boys in the class were envious, almost to the point of being green with envy for Mu Xiaomo. Hearing Mu Baining's words, Mu Xiaomo was also a little confused, mainly because Mu Baining's words were a bit outrageous. But now that the professor has spoken, what reason does he have to refuse? He walked through the crowd and stood next to Mu Baining, who had already prepared many tools to disassemble the robotic arm. This was the first time the two had been seen together, and it was in front of their classmates. At this moment, many classmates saw Mu Xiaomo and Mu Baining standing together and felt that they actually looked a bit like a married couple. That's absolutely outrageous. Xiaomo, could you hold my arm for me so I can show it to my classmates? Okay, he nodded obediently and assisted Mu Baining. Soon, Mu Baining took out a pry bar and tried to pry open the screw plate on the robotic arm. Only by prying open these panels can you remove it with a screwdriver. At this moment, Mu Xiaomo and Mu Baining were very close. Mu Baining could clearly smell Mu Xiaomo's scent. At this moment, Mu Baining felt uneasy. She didn't know why, but standing next to him made her feel a tingling sensation in her heart. Mu Baining soon started having wild thoughts. At that moment, she was trying to pry open a sturdy metal panel, but no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't. How about I help you? Mu Xiaomo suggested from the side. Mu Baining shook her head. No need, the structure of the robotic arm is quite special, I'll do it myself. As she spoke, Mu Baining gritted her teeth and suddenly exerted force on her arm. However, the metal buckle on the panel slipped, and Mu Baining accidentally cut her index finger with the pry bar. Then bright red blood flowed out from the wound. Ah, Mu Baining groaned, startled by the scene. She quickly dropped the knife and covered her wound. What happened? Mu Xiaomo was stunned. This girl was too careless. She clearly couldn't pry it open, but she insisted on using so much force without asking for help. Now look what happened, she's hurt herself. Holy crap, Professor Mu, are you all right? Damn, here's some toilet paper, Professor Mu, take this. The students in the class were a little confused when they saw that Professor Mu had suddenly been injured. The main problem is that this happened so suddenly. Mu Xiaomo quickly took the tissues from her classmate and then grabbed Mu Baining's wrist. Professor Mu, open your hand, let me bandage it for you. Mu Baining's mind went blank for a moment, and without thinking much, she opened her palm. Mu Xiaomo observed the wound. It was long, a full 3 centimeters, and very deep. Blood was seeping out rapidly. He quickly wrapped the wound on his hand with toilet paper, causing Mu Baining to clench her fists tightly. However, a few seconds later, the toilet paper in her palm was soaked with blood, and the bleeding couldn't be stopped at all. Mu Xiaomo felt extremely distressed after seeing this. Huang Wenxu said, No, Professor Mu's wound is too deep. He must be taken to the infirmary as soon as possible. He glanced at the razor on the table. Moreover, the razor is a bit rusty. The weather is so hot now, it needs to be treated quickly to prevent infection, and I also need to get a tetanus shot. Upon hearing this, Mu Xiaomo immediately picked up Mu Baining without hesitation and rushed out of the classroom. This scene left the students in the class completely bewildered. What's going on here? Did Mu Xiaomo just carry Professor Mu out like that? The students in the class stared at each other blankly, and at that moment, some of them began to regret their decision. Why didn't they just hug Mu Baining directly? But Mu Xiaomo's speed is too fast. Damn. Outside, Mu Xiaomo had already rushed out of the building and was running straight towards the school clinic. Mu Baining, lying in Mu Xiaomo's arms, was completely stunned. She hadn't even reacted when she was suddenly injured, let alone when Mu Xiaomo suddenly picked her up. However, feeling herself enveloped by Mu Omo's enormous body made her feel very safe. At this moment, Mu Baining struggled for a moment, and she couldn't help but say, Omo, you should put me down quickly. I can go to the infirmary by myself. No, Mu Omo shook her head firmly because her wound was too long, and blood was still flowing out, even dripping onto the ground. Mu Baining was wearing high heels. When would she be able to get to the infirmary? Because she had drunk the body-strengthening potion beforehand, Mu Omo didn't feel any fatigue while running with Mu Baining in her arms. After being rejected by Mu Omo, Mu Baining didn't say anything more. She likes assertive and domineering boys, and feels that with Mu Omo around, nothing will happen to her. At this moment, Mu Baining only felt that her left hand was sticky and a little wet, but the pain was negligible. Mu Omo's movements were so exaggerated that she almost threw up her breakfast from the jolting. Fortunately, Mu Omo brought Mu Baining to the infirmary in just a few minutes. Doctor! After entering, Mu Omo shouted, and at the same time, Dr. Wang walked out of a consultation room. He immediately noticed the blood on Mu Baining's hands and exclaimed in shock, "What happened? How did she get such a serious injury? Bring her in quickly." Dr. Wang quickly opened the door, and then Mu Omo carried Mu Baining inside and placed her on a hospital bed. At the same time, Dr. Wang also brought over a medical kit and a trash can. Blood dripped down her fingers, and Mu Omo looked at Mu Baining's face, which was filled with worry. At the same time, Dr. Wang took out a rubber band and wrapped it around her wrist to slow down the bleeding. Seeing that Mu Baining's face was a little pale, and he even seemed somewhat dazed, Mu Omo couldn't help but ask, "Doctor, Professor Mu's face is so pale. Is it due to excessive blood loss?" Chapter 56, Professor Mu blushed again. Possibly. Dr. Wang nodded, and at the same time, Mu Baining opened her eyes. No, it's because I'm a little squeamish about blood, and the ride was a bit bumpy when Mu Omo carried me over, so I'm not feeling well. This, Mu Omo was slightly taken aback. The situation was quite urgent just now, and he did run very fast. However, Mu Baining should be able to understand him. Dr. Wang's hands didn't stop moving. How did you get injured so badly, Professor Mu? Slowly loosen your grip, don't clench your fist anymore. Let me check the condition of your hand first. She nodded slightly, her gaze never falling on her hand. As soon as she loosened her grip, a sharp pain shot through her fingers. The everted wound was thus revealed before their eyes, and upon seeing it, Dr. Wang frowned slightly. He said it must have been cut by a sharp object. The wound is already 3 centimeters long and quite deep. The subcutaneous tissue has been damaged. You shouldn't have clenched your fist just now. No wonder you bled so much. Mu Baining didn't continue speaking. Dr. Wang first wiped the bloodstains off her hands with an alcohol-soaked cotton ball, and then said, "It's really unfortunate today. We've run out of iodine. I'll have to disinfect you with alcohol. This process might be very painful, Professor Mu. Please bear with it." Mu Baining nodded, but her expression wasn't very good. Dr. Wang glanced at Mu Omo. "Hold Professor Mu's wrist tight while I go get the medicine." At this point, Mu Omo had no choice. Although alcohol was very irritating, it was indeed the most effective. Soon, Dr. Wang poured some alcohol into a bottle cap, and then poured it directly onto the wound on her finger. The moment the alcohol touched the wound, Mu Baining let out a painful howl, and her arm began to tremble uncontrollably. Ouch, it hurt so much. Seeing this, Mu Omo felt as if her heart was being torn apart, and even wished that she was the one who was hurt, not Mu Omo. "Bear with it, it's all right now." Dr. Wang quickly sprinkled yellow powder on the injured area of her finger, then wrapped it tightly with gauze and bandage. At this point, Mu Baining felt much better. Because the wound was quite large, he wrapped it with white bandage many times. Mu Omo, who was standing next to him, asked, "Dr. Wang, this should be fine, right?" He nodded. "It's not a big problem. The wound will heal in a few days, but don't get the wound wet recently to prevent infection." "I understand. Thank you, Dr. Wang." Mu Baining nodded. Then Mu Omo suddenly remembered the rust on the scimitar and said, "By the way, Dr. Wang, Professor Mu's razor blade is a bit rusty. Should he get a tetanus shot?" Upon hearing Mu Omo's words, Dr. Wang hesitated for a moment. In fact, if the bleeding from the wound is heavy, a tetanus shot may not be necessary. But it's better to be safe than sorry, and tetanus shots aren't expensive these days, so it's safer to get one. Dr. Wang nodded. "Let's give him an injection. The most common one will do. It costs 20 yuan per injection, but we need to do an allergy test first." He quickly brought over a small needle and performed a skin test on her. Wait 20 minutes, I'll be changing dressings for other patients. Please wait here for a moment. With that, he left the ward. Mu Omo glanced at Mu Baining's hand and sighed. How old are you? Why can't you be more careful? I wanted to help you just now, but you wouldn't let me. Mu Baining looked a little aggrieved, and Mu Omo said, all right, I won't say anything more to you. Just be more careful next time, okay? She nodded softly like a little girl, thinking about how the system made him a little worse. Mu Omo became bolder and gently stroked her hair. Then you should rest well recently, listen to the doctor's advice. And if you need to take a shower, remember to wrap your hands in a plastic bag. I will. Upon feeling Mu Omo's movements, Mu Baining felt a tingling sensation in her heart, and her body even resisted his actions. He actually touched his own hair. Mu Baining remembers that when she was little, her grandparents said that when a boy touched a girl's hair, it was an expression of love. Her heart raced and a blush slowly crept onto her face. Mu Baining said softly, could you get me a glass of water? Okay, Mu Omo stood up without hesitation. There was a water dispenser in the room. She took out a paper cup, filled it with water, and handed it to Mu Baining. Thank you. She stammered as she took the water, and Mu Omo was taken aback. How come this girl's face turned so red in the blink of an eye? Could it be an allergic reaction? Thinking of this, Mu Omo quickly went out to call Dr. Wang, while Mu Baining looked puzzled. Why did he suddenly run away? A moment later, Dr. Wang and Mu Omo quickened their pace and entered the examination room. Upon entering, Dr. Wang noticed that Mu Baining's complexion was off. What's wrong? Is there something wrong with your body? He looked at Mu Baining's wrist, but there were no signs of an allergic reaction. Mu Baining was a little confused at this moment. No, she shook her head, her face full of question marks. That's good. Dr. Wang glanced at Mu Omo, then at Mu Baining, and immediately understood what was going on. They must have had some physical contact when he went out. Perhaps Mu Baining blushed with shyness. Thinking of this, Dr. Wang couldn't help but smile. It's almost time. You don't have any allergic reaction. Take off your coat and I'll give you the injection now. Mu Baining didn't think much of it. She just felt her face getting hot. Oh my God, did I blush just now? Before I could think any further, Dr. Wang had already come over with a needle. This time we'll give an injection in the shoulder. After wiping the shoulder area with alcohol, Dr. Wang inserted the needle directly, filled the syringe with the medicine, pulled it out, and then pressed it with a cotton swab. Before Mu Baining could react, Mu Omo went over and started massaging her. Dr. Wang couldn't help but glance at Mu Omo a couple more times. In fact, his thoughts could already be seen from Mu Omo's behavior. Besides, Liu Weiwei had gossiped with him about it last time. However, this is someone else's private matter, and Dr. Wang naturally has no right to interfere. He smiled and said, all right, it's all taken care of. Professor Mu, remember to come back in 24 hours to change the dressing. After that, don't eat spicy food and don't get the wound wet. It will be fine in a few days. Yes, thank you. I'll go pay. Mu Omo quickly stepped forward, while Dr. Wang shook his head. No need, the school provides accidental disability compensation for teachers. It can be deducted directly from that. Upon hearing this, Mu Omo realized that the Magic University was quite humane. He said, well, thank you, Dr. Wang, thank you for your trouble. He waved his hand and said, no need to thank me, it's nothing I should do. Then we'll head back now. Yes, Dr. Wang nodded. Come visit often when you have time. Mu Omo's face darkened. What the hell is this come visit often when you have time nonsense? Who has nothing better to do than keep going to the hospital? That's outrageous. Chapter 57, this brat. He wants to go to her house before they're even officially together. Soon, Mu Omo and Mu Baining left the infirmary together. It's still during class time, so the campus of Magic University is unusually deserted. The two walked side by side on the road of the Magic Science University. Mu Omo asked, Professor Mu, shall we go back to continue the class now? Of course, Mu Baining nodded. The injury has delayed the students a lot of time. I can adjust the teaching schedule first and teach you some theoretical knowledge first. Okay, sure. Mu Omo glanced at Mu Baining's profile, and just then Mu Baining couldn't help but say, Omo, thank you for today. It's all right, Professor Mu. Mu Omo smiled and said, as the class monitor, this is what I should do, and I am also very honored to be your right-hand woman. Mu Baining didn't reply much at first, Their relationship was still too special. She said, "By the way, I'll treat you to dinner this weekend and I'll cook it myself. I'll take you somewhere then." Okay. Muzaya Omo nodded and didn't ask any further questions. The two returned to the classroom, where the students were all playing on their phones. When they saw Professor Mew and Muzaya Omo return, they rushed over to greet them. "Professor Mew, are you all right? Professor Mew, are you sure you haven't lost too much blood? I have type O blood. If you have lost too much blood, you can receive my blood transfusion." Me too. I'm also blood type O." The class erupted in chaos. At the same time, Professor Mew said loudly, "All right, students, thank you for your concern. I'm fine. Let's continue the lesson." Muzaya Omo returned to her seat and continued today's lesson. Time flies. Before we knew it, it was Sunday. That is, the time when Mu Baining invited him to dinner. At 5:30 p.m. by Yuntao, Huang Wengsu and Du Yang were playing games in their dormitory. Muzaya Omo jumped off the bed, opened the wardrobe, and sprayed herself with perfume. Grass. Just then, Huang Wengsu slammed his mouse down, his face darkening. "We lost again. You said you could carry me to Silver Tauzi. This is the 5th time we've lost." "What can I do?" Bai Yuntao was speechless. "Didn't you say you were a monster in the jungle? What the hell is your 016 Xinjiao?" "Oh, this." Seeing that his boasting had been exposed, Huang Wengsu quickly changed the subject, turning his attention to Muzaya Omo. "Brother Mo, are you dressed up like a proper lady on a date with your sister?" Get out. Muzaya Omo rolled her eyes. "What do you mean by looking like a human but acting like a dog?" He, I guessed right." Huang Wengsu grinned lewdly. "Let me guess who it is. It's not with Professor Mew, is it?" Muzaya Omo was stunned. Damn, Huang Wengsu guessed so accurately. "What's it to you? Go play your game." With that, Muzaya Omo straightened her clothes and ran out. Huang Wengsu grinned mischievously. "Oh no, bro, Mo is about to get Professor Mew." "That's their skill." Huang Wengsu, "Sigh, I'm so envious. Moji will be able to put flowers in his cut soon." "Flower arrangement?" Bai Yunta was taken aback. "What does flower arrangement mean?" Haven't you heard of it?" Huang Wengsu said. "It's a classic quote from a novel. You take care of being beautiful, and I'll take care of flower arranging." Bai Yunta was taken aback. "Holy crap, who wrote this book? It's full of such cheesy stuff." Outside, Muzaya Omo walked alone on the campus of Magic University. Because it was the weekend, many students were out walking around on the streets. In addition, the temperature is still very high, so there are bare legs everywhere on campus. Of course, for example, Mu Bainings is still a tiny bit short. Just now, Mu Baining sent him a message, saying that she was already waiting for him at the south gate of the Magic University. Muzaya Omo quickened her pace, hurrying in that direction. Because of her previous performance of Guest, Muzaya Omo's popularity soared. He often encounters girls who proactively add him on WeChat. This has also caused some disruption to his life. There's nothing we can do about it. He's just that good-looking. But compared to Tomato's readers, he's still a far cry. Along the way, Muzaya Omo tried to avoid crowds and arrived at the school gate after running for about 15 or 16 minutes. At that moment, a beautiful figure was standing under a tree. She was looking down at her phone, wearing a white long dress, open-toed high heels, and her hair was loose. At first glance, she looked both sweet and sexy. In short, students passing by the school gate would be drawn to her figure, and even boys would linger on her for a couple of seconds. This person could only be Mu Baining. However, Muzaya Omo had a question in his mind. Professor Mew said he would cook for him personally, so why did he come outside the school? Should we go directly to her house? Meeting the parents. Just then, Muzaya Omo shook her head, realizing she had been overthinking things. Meeting my parents at this time is absolutely out of the question. After walking over, Muzaya Omo gently patted her shoulder. "Professor Mew." Upon hearing Muzaya Omo's voice, she turned her head and in that instant smelled the fragrance emanating from Muzaya Omo. The scent was very familiar. Looking up slightly, I saw Muzaya Omo's delicate features. She smiled sweetly. "You're here. Get ready for an empty stomach. Let's go." Muzaya Omo nodded slightly, noticing that Mu Baining looked especially beautiful today. She deliberately wore light makeup, with pink blush on both sides of her cheeks, making her eyes look big and her eyelashes very curled. Combined with her fiery red lips, she gave him a unique visual impact. So elegant and sweet. Mu Baining led the way and Muzaya Omo followed. Then she said, "Professor Mew, where are we going? If you're going to cook for me, are we going to your house?" Hearing this, Mu Baining chuckled. "What are you thinking, Zaya Omo? Of course we're not going to my house. You'll find out when we get there." Mu Baining didn't tell him directly, And of course, Mu Omo didn't ask any further questions. Meanwhile, Mu Baining thought to herself, this brat, he wants to go to her house before they've even officially started dating. That's so mean. Yeah. P.S. Starting tomorrow, I'll be updating 3 times a day with a minimum of 6,000 words. Please give me some flowers. I'm doing this for free out of love. Dear friends, please don't spend money to send gifts. I'm extremely grateful. Chapter 58. Could it be that Professor Mu is a rich woman? The two walked side by side across the pedestrian crossing, chatting intermittently along the way. Of course, we talked about our recent daily lives and problems encountered in class. As a professor, Mu Baining definitely likes students who excel in both character and academics. And Mu Omo's actions will also win Mu Baining's favor. After walking for about 10 minutes, Mu Baining had brought him to the commercial street opposite the school. As evening approached, many couples were holding hands on the commercial street, and many people were debating what to eat. It's estimated that after dinner, they'll take their girlfriends to a small hotel to explore the mysteries of the universe. When Mu Omo arrived at the commercial street, she was even more puzzled. Didn't Mu Baining say that she would make it for him by hand? Although I had some doubts, I didn't ask any further questions. Soon, Mu Baining led him to a Western restaurant called Whale's Restaurant. This is it. Mu Baining turned to look at Mu Omo, who was startled and frowned as he asked, Professor Mu, this is. I remember you said you would cook it for me yourself. Nothing tastes as good as what Professor Mu makes himself, compared to what's made in restaurants. But he couldn't be picky, since such opportunities were rare. Upon hearing this, Mu Baining said, this place is fine. At this moment, she had a faint smile on her face, looking particularly sweet. Mu Omo was completely confused. Seeing Mu Omo's somewhat bewildered expression, Mu Baining chuckled. You'll understand once you come in with me. As she spoke, she led the way. As soon as I stepped through the glass door, 2 young female staff members came over to open it, and accompanied by a greeting, hello, boss. Mu Omo. Upon hearing the greeting, hello, boss, Mu Omo suddenly realized what was going on. Could it be that Mu Baining is the owner here? He looked around the shop. The shop was nicely decorated, with black marble slabs on the walls and murals on the high ceilings, along with some brushed metal details, giving it a touch of understated luxury. The shop has 34 tables and many 2-person booths. Crystal chandeliers hang from the ceiling, and the shop is quite large, probably over 200 square meters. There's also the second floor. Could it be that Professor Mu is a rich woman? What are you standing there for, Omo? Come on in. Mu Baining smiled as she looked at the dazed Mu Omo. That's right, she opened the shop, but the money to open it was all sponsored by her grandfather, and she only took a very small portion. She put a lot of effort into opening this store, from decoration to franchising, and spent over 1,000,000 yuan. Without her grandfather's help, she wouldn't have been able to open this shop. As for why she brought Mu Omo here, it was to show off her abilities. Nowadays, boys like women with careers. To be honest, if the two of them were to establish a relationship, she could support Mu Omo. Tuition fees, living expenses, etc. can all be covered. The prerequisite is that Mu Omo must be ambitious. Oh, Mu Omo nodded repeatedly and followed Mu Baining inside. He couldn't help but ask, Professor Mu, are you the owner of this shop? Yes, Mu Baining nodded. This shop was opened during the summer vacation. At the time, I thought I wouldn't be able to become a professor at the Magic Science University, so it was a backup plan for myself. I never expected to be selected. Now I come here to manage the shop whenever I have time, which also helps me earn some extra income. Hearing this, Mu Omo was startled. She really is a rich woman. However, there were relatively few customers in the shop at this time. Of the more than 30 tables on the first floor, only 5 or 6 were occupied. To be honest, business was rather poor. Logically speaking, it's the weekend and it's lunchtime, so business shouldn't be this bad. Despite her thoughts, Mu Omo didn't voice her doubts. Mu Omo said, Professor Mu, you've opened a shop at only 22 years old. You're quite the businesswoman. Not quite a powerful businesswoman, just. Bang! Where are the waiters? Before Mu Baining could finish speaking, a customer suddenly slammed his hand on the table and then shouted. This scene startled everyone present. Mu Baining turned to look over, then turned to look at Mu Omo and whispered, Omo, I'll go take a look. Mu Omo nodded slightly and followed behind Mu Baining. At the same time, a waitress wearing an apron, who looked to be in her early 20s, also came over. The person who just slammed the table and spoke was a male customer. He was quite obese, with a fleshy face, and looked to be in his 20s. He wore a gold chain around his neck and had dyed yellow hair. He was a spirited young man. Sitting next to him was a woman dressed very scantily clad, with flamboyant makeup on her face, looking neither human nor ghost, just a sultry young woman. "Hello, I'm the owner here. What's wrong with you?" Mu Baining spoke to him in a very respectful tone. At the same time, the obese man glanced at Mu Baining after seeing her and said angrily, "Do you even know how to make steak here? What kind of rubbish is this? Make it redo right now." "I'm very sorry, sir. I'll redo it for you right away." Mu Baining picked up the steak on the table. At this moment, the fat man continued, "And my little darlings, if it's not cooked well, believe me, I'll complain about you." Mu Baining remained silent, and the waiter next to her wisely took the lady's steak. The kitchen. "What's wrong, Kobayashi? Is there something wrong with the steak?" Mu Baining's gaze was fixed on the steak, her expression not very pleasant. At the same time, the waiter called Xiaolin spoke up. "Boss, that customer outside has already changed his order twice. This is his third. I suspect he's here to cause trouble. Ding Tilda, congratulations, host. You have triggered a mission. Please prepare steaks for 2 customers within 40 minutes. Task reward, 100,000 cash." Upon hearing the system's voice, Mu Xiaomo was overjoyed. 100,000 yuan, wow. Because he previously acquired superb culinary skills, he now has a certain level of mastery over any dish. So making a steak shouldn't be a problem. After considering for a moment, Mu Baining said, "I'll do it myself this time. Xiaolin, you go and rest." No sooner had Mu Baining finished speaking than Mu Xiaomo stepped forward and said, "Professor Mu, let me handle this." Upon hearing this, Mu Baining frowned slightly and looked at Mu Xiaomo. She murmured, you can cook Western food." "I've learned a little bit." Mu Xiaomo nodded slightly. "Professor Mu, didn't you say you would make it for me personally? You can make it for me and I can take care of those 2 guests outside." Mu Baining never expected Mu Xiaomo to step forward at this moment. Seeing Mu Baining's worried expression, Mu Xiaomo continued, "Don't worry, Professor Mu. Give me this opportunity, and I will definitely be able to handle the guests outside." Okay, sure." Mu Baining was a little worried. Her grilled fish was absolutely delicious, but she didn't know how her Western food would be. "It should be great, right?" Chapter 59 has, well done steak. Seeing that Mu Baining agreed, Mu Xiaomo smiled and said, "Then I'll head over first." He glanced at the steaks on the table that the 2 guests had just eaten. By the way, they were black pepper sirloin steaks, right? Waiter Xiaolin nodded. Mu Xiaomo didn't take it seriously and walked directly to a stove, then looked around. There are 3 chefs in the kitchen, and they are all idle at the moment. It seems that business here is not very good. He opened the refrigerator and soon saw 2 steaks wrapped in plastic wrap. The kitchen here is very clean, and the steaks are the freshest. It's clear that Mu Baining is running this store very seriously. But why is business so bad? I shook my head. It would be better to make the steak first. He took out a bottle of red wine, poured it into a small bowl until it covered the steak, then added salt and pepper to marinate it. Next, chop the onion, wash it, drain the water, and then make a black pepper sauce with light soy sauce, ketchup, oyster sauce, dark soy sauce, and other ingredients. Mu Xiaomo was very serious throughout the entire production process, and Mu Baining felt a warmth in her heart when she saw his performance. Although his steps were different from others, it was clear that he knew how to cook Western food. With her worries gone, Mu Baining said to Xiaolin beside her, "Xiaolin, everything's all right now. You can go out and help out again. Leave the rest to Mu Xiaomo." The girl called Xiaolin nodded. At this moment, she was very curious about who the boss had brought with him. Is he her student or her boyfriend? As an employee, one should not gossip about the boss's affairs. So Xiaolin quickly slunk away from the kitchen. Mu Baining didn't go over to bother Mu Xiaomo. After all, she said she was going to cook for Mu Xiaomo herself today. Let's treat her to a candlelight dinner. Then have some red wine. Mu Baining has completely fallen in love with Mu Xiaomo, and this time she is going to take a step forward for love. She blushed a little when she thought about this. It was the first time she had ever liked someone, and she was so shy. About 25 minutes later, Mu Xiaomo had already cooked the steak. He had just asked Xiaolin how well done the guest wanted his steak. Xiaolin said the guests wanted it cooked to medium rare. Then Mu Xiaomo was stunned. Medium well, there's such a thing as medium well steak. Although she didn't know the other party's situation, Mu Xiaomo had no choice but to bite the bullet and do it. Cook it 2 or 3 minutes longer, then it should be 7/10 done. The whole process took 25 minutes. After it was done, Omo put the steak on a plate, arranged the side dishes, sprinkled black pepper on top, and it was ready to be served. Seeing Omo carrying the steak out of the kitchen, Baining quickly followed him. Outside, "Sir, your medium-rare sirloin black pepper steak is ready. Please enjoy." Even after the steak was placed on the plate, the fat man still didn't give him a friendly look. Actually, he was deliberately stirring up trouble. Because there was a girl with him, he thought it was cool to cause trouble for the waiters and to show off in front of her. "No matter how bad the food is, I will definitely complain about you." As he spoke, he took a knife, cut a piece of steak, and put it in his mouth. After chewing lightly, he paused for a moment, slightly taken aback. "Wow, this tastes so good." That's what he thought in his heart, but he didn't say it out loud. Although he wanted to continue causing trouble, the taste of the steak really amazed him. "How was it? Did you like the steak I made this time?" "Not bad." The steak was truly amazing this time, with a satisfying chewy texture, and he unconsciously uttered the words, "not bad." "That's good. I hope you both enjoy your meal." Just as Omo was about to leave, she noticed that Baining was also there. At the same time, the fat man added, "Wait a minute, you guys have kept me occupied for so long today." Before the fat man could finish speaking, Omo's eyes turned cold. To be honest, he had just tolerated the trouble he was causing today. "I never expected this fat guy to cause trouble again and again, and that's unacceptable." "What do you want?" Omo glared at him fiercely. Upon seeing this, the fat man stood up, revealing his ferocious, muscular face. Baining, standing behind him, was taken aback, thinking the two were about to fight. At the same time, the fat man raised his arm, looking like he wanted to fight. Just then, Omo grabbed his wrist, and the force, like that of a vice, left the fat man somewhat dazed. The fat man, who usually bullied the weak and feared the strong, knew he had met his match this time, so he immediately chose to follow his heart and said, "No, it's nothing." "HMPH." Omo shook off his arm and smiled. "Enjoy your meal and don't forget to pay the bill." Then she turned around and said to Baining, "It's all over now, let's go back." Baining took a deep breath. To be honest, he was really afraid that the two of them would start fighting. "I almost never encounter customers like this. When I do, I can only blame my bad luck." Fortunately, nothing serious happened. Omo and Baining returned to the kitchen together. After entering, Baining couldn't help but turn her head and say to Omo, "Omo, are you all right? I thought you two almost got into a fight." "It's all right." Omo smiled slightly. "I can even take down the instructors. Why would I be afraid of this little punk?" "Yes, yes." Baining stared into his eyes and continued, "I didn't expect you to be so good at Western cuisine. Did you study it?" Their eyes met, and Omo noticed that her gaze was full of love. Praised like that, Omo chuckled and scratched her head. "Of course, not to mention anything else, I can cook any dish you can name." "Just stop bragging." Baining was in a good mood. She glanced at Omo and pursed her lips. "Sai, I'm sorry to trouble you again. You've taken up so much time. But my steak is almost ready. Shall we have some drinks later?" "Want some drinks?" Omo was taken aback, suddenly remembering the day Baining and he had a drinking contest. He nodded and smiled. "Beer or baijiu?" "Red." Baining was amused by Omo. She said jokingly, "What, drinking baijiu with me? Aren't you afraid I'll trick you into going to a cheap hotel again?" "What's there to be afraid of? This way I can earn another 500 yuan. Ah, hearing this, Baining suddenly felt a little embarrassed. Last time, she thought she would never see Omo again, so she gave him 500 yuan as compensation for his emotional distress. "It's a bit awkward to talk about this now." Just then, a chef in the kitchen said, "Boss, your pasta is burnt." Baining suddenly remembered that she had just been stir-frying spaghetti. "It's burnt." Baining quickly said, "Omo, go wait for me on the second floor. I'll come find you after I've finished cooking." "Become." Omo didn't think much of it and quickly left the kitchen, then went up to the second floor. The second floor is relatively quiet, and like the first floor, it is also quite luxuriously decorated. However, the second floor has more small private rooms, which are especially convenient for two people to dine alone without being disturbed. After observing for a while, Omo went to the window and looked at the street scene of the university town's commercial street. It was completely dark by then, but there were still many students strolling hand in hand with their girlfriends on the commercial street. Omo recalled Baining's words and felt that his relationship with Baining had taken a step closer. Chapter 60, A Candlelight Dinner with Professor Mew. Ding, congratulations on completing the mission. You have received 100,000 cash. As the system notification faded, Musayomo's phone chimed with a notification, a text message confirming the arrival of 100,000 yuan. After confirming the amount, Musayomo was delighted. Now with an additional 100,000 yuan in cash, the cat cafe has sufficient funds. By this time, his milk tea and cat cafe had been renovated, with a pink Hello Kitty theme, since the target audience was women. He reduced the size of the milk tea making area in the kitchen and increased the area where the cats could play, so that students who like cats could pet them. Now that I have this money, I can buy some cats. Ding, congratulations on completing the mission. The system has given you a small gift. Upon hearing the system's voice, Musayomo was taken aback. A small gift? What small gift? Just as he was wondering what was going on, the system's virtual panel suddenly opened, and then a white Scottish fold cat appeared on the panel. Gift, genetically modified Scottish fold cat. It looks exactly like the Scottish fold cat that Mew Baining previously owned, and this cat has no skeletal diseases and a lifespan of up to 25 years. The host can choose to give this gift on October 10th, Mew Baining's birthday. Sending gifts will improve your relationship. The system also wants you two to be together soon. Musayomo was both surprised and delighted to see the gift. My God, it looks exactly like the Scottish fold cat that Mew Baining used to keep. Is it genetically modified? Mew Baining especially loves cats, and she must have been very sad after losing her Scottish fold cat last time. She'll be so happy when I give her this kitten. October 10th. It's already the 21st, so there's still more than half a month to go. Turning 22 is indeed a very important birthday. I'm sure Mew Baining will really love this gift. Little Mo, what are you looking at by the window? I've made something delicious. Come and try it. Just as I was lost in thought, I heard Mew Baining's voice behind me. Turning my head, I saw that she had already brought over 2 steaks and placed them on a nearby table. Is it ready? Musayomo walked over. On the plate was a large steak and a plate of pasta. The aroma wafted into her nose, and Musayomo suddenly felt hungry. Okay, Mew Baining nodded slightly and said, It's ready. I'll go get a bottle of red wine and a decanter. Wait here for me. Good. Musayomo nodded slightly. Mew Baining smiled faintly at him, and then left and went downstairs. A short while later, she came over with a bottle of Lafite and a decanter. On the table were wine glasses and a gold candle holder with 3 red candles. Mew Baining took out a lighter. Little Mo, how about we try a candlelight dinner? This, of course. Musayomo was a little surprised. My God, Mew Baining is too good at this. She wants to have a candlelight dinner with him. How romantic, Omega Slash. Then I'll go turn off the light. You can light these 3 candles. Mew Baining placed a lighter on the table, then got up and walked to the light bulb. After Musayomo lit the 3 candles, she turned off the light. The candle flames flickered in the air. After Mew Baining sat down in the chair, she looked at the dazed Musayomo and couldn't help but smile. Little Mo, stop looking at me and try my steak. After all, this was his first time having dinner with a girl in such a romantic setting, and he felt a little nervous. The main issue is that Mew Baining's behavior is somewhat unusual. She's being too proactive. After taking a small bite of beef, he looked up at Mew Baining's face. The candle flickered gently, illuminating half of Mew Baining's face. Her jewel-like eyes shimmered with the candlelight. She looked up slightly and saw Musayomo staring at her and suddenly felt a little shy. Mew Baining carefully examined Musayomo's face, a ripple of emotion stirring within her. Was she being too forward? She tucked a stray strand of hair behind her ear and slowly asked, So, is my steak better or yours? Musayomo was taken aback. In the past, he might not have been able to taste the steak at all, but since he acquired super cooking skills, his taste buds have become much more sensitive. Musayomo said, The taste is okay, but it wasn't fried for long enough. To be precise, it should have been fried for another minute and 42 seconds. Secondly, when marinating the steak, I added too much oyster sauce and too much salt. It would have been better to add a lemon. Mew Baining was slightly taken aback upon hearing Musayomo's explanation. You can taste this. You can even taste it. She thought Musayomo would just give her a few perfunctory words or praise her, but she didn't expect him to actually point out her flaws. What a straight man. To be honest, she couldn't even taste the difference herself. She never expected Musayomo to be so professional. Seeing Mew Baining's somewhat surprised look, Musayomo smiled and said, I'll cook it for you myself next time, and then you'll understand. Okay, sure, Tilda. Mew Baining turned her gaze to the Laphite wine beside her. He understood her meaning through her eyes and quickly said, Professor Mew, let me drink, but drink less this time or you'll lose another 500 yuan. Hate. Mew Baining glanced at Mew Xiaomo, but didn't take it seriously. It was because of that special encounter last time that we have this romantic moment now. Mew Xiaomo quickly opened the wine bottle and poured the wine into the decanter. After she had sobered up a bit, I poured some into her glass. The two clinked glasses. Tilde. Soon, the two were drinking heartily. Mew Baining had completely let down her guard and started talking to Mew Xiaomo. About 20 minutes later, the two of them had drunk quite a bit of alcohol. There is no doubt that red wine can easily cause intoxication. At this moment, Mew Baining's face was already slightly flushed. In fact, there was still an unresolved knot in her heart. She suddenly asked, Little Mo, you were able to write the song Guest. Is it because there's always a girl living in your heart? Mew Xiaomo nodded upon hearing this. Mew Baining's expression darkened upon hearing this, and she pressed further, Then, she's your classmate. No, Mew Xiaomo shook her head. It's you. Chapter 61, Xiaomo, don't go, can you stay here with me? Upon hearing this, Mew Baining's face immediately flushed red. Although it was very dark around them, with only 3 candles emitting a faint light, Mew Xiaomo could still clearly see her shy face. Yes, she blushed again. He had never seen Mew Baining's face like this before. Like a young girl experiencing her first love, she was incredibly shy. After hearing Mew Xiaomo's words, Mew Baining felt much of the knot in her heart untied. She felt a little blank and dizzy, and even wanted to confess her feelings to Mew Xiaomo. At this moment, Mew Xiaomo asked, Professor Mew, do you have feelings for me? Mew Baining rubbed her dizzy head. The boy's eyes were clear and full of expectation. But at that moment, Mew Baining suddenly didn't know how to respond to Mew Xiaomo. Although she really wanted to say the word yes, for some reason, her mind went blank and she felt incredibly nervous. He swallowed the words that were already on the tip of his tongue. Seeing Mew Baining's hesitant expression, Mew Xiaomo smiled. How could this girl be so shy? Before Mew Baining could speak, he stood up and kissed her forehead. A softy sound. He then brought his lips close to Mew Baining's ear and said, It's okay if you don't. Sooner or later, I will make you have me in your heart, and for a lifetime. The clear voice reached Mew Baining's ears, and she felt a tingling sensation all over her body as if she had been electrocuted. She bit her lip and then silently nodded, letting out a soft mmm. Mew Xiaomo smiled. Actually, there were no problems in their relationship anymore. He kissed her just now, and Mew Baining didn't resist. He knew that Mew Baining already had feelings for him. I probably wouldn't have invited him to this meal if it weren't for him. After sitting down, Mew Baining's face was even redder than before, and she must have been feeling a mix of emotions. The scene was ambiguous, but neither of them voiced their true feelings, even though they both wanted to. That's right, this great opportunity was wasted. After pouring red wine for Mew Baining, Mew Xiaomo continued eating the steak and pasta she had cooked for him. The atmosphere grew increasingly intimate, and the two drank a few more glasses of wine. Before long, Mew Baining slowly slumped onto the table. Mew Xiaomo was stunned. Professor Mew just got drunk and passed out like that. This shouldn't be happening. He scratched his head. Back when school started, Mew Baining had a pretty good alcohol tolerance. She would chug straight from the bottle, and he ended up getting Mew Baining drunk. Why is my alcohol tolerance so low now? Professor Mew. He gently patted Mew Baining's arm, and at the same time, Mew Baining slowly raised her head. Little Mo, I've had a little too much to drink, and I feel a bit dizzy. Mew Xiaomo quickly stood up, walked to her side, and took her arm, saying, Then, let me help you back. Mew Baining had completely let her guard down. Then, Mew Xiaomo put her shoulders on his neck and slowly stood up. Professor Mew, be careful, you're going down the stairs. Mew Baining was really drunk. He helped her slowly down the stairs. Luckily, she was still conscious, otherwise he would have had to carry her. Downstairs, 2 guests had already left. When the employees saw Mew Xiaomo supporting their boss, they couldn't help but frown. Looks like this is the boss's boyfriend. Professor Mew has had a bit too much to drink, so I'll take her back first. Mew Xiaomo spoke up, and the shop's staff naturally didn't say anything more, and 2 people quickly came over to help Mew Xiaomo open the door. As dusk approached, Mew Xiaomo turned her head slightly and focused her gaze on Mew Baining. Professor Mew, are you going back to your dormitory or would you like to book a room outside? Let's find a hotel to stay in. Mu Baining said that her head was really dizzy. After saying this, Mu Baining rested her head on his chest. Mu Xiaomo couldn't help but smile. A moment later, he found a hotel nearby and booked a double room for Mu Baining. Mu Xiaomo carried her into the room. He didn't know what was wrong with her today. She hadn't drunk that much alcohol, but she was already so drunk. After covering her with a summer blanket, Mu Xiaomo turned on the air conditioner and set the temperature to 26 degrees Celsius. Just as he was about to leave, his arm was suddenly grabbed by Mu Baining. Mu Baining closed her eyes and stammered. Xiaomo, don't go, can you stay here with me? Her tone was like a little girl's coquettishness, and Mu Xiaomo was slightly taken aback. Was he here with her? To be honest, he had no intention of doing anything that would warrant being imprisoned. If he did, he would definitely be in serious trouble. The two of them will become boyfriend and girlfriend sooner or later, and he's not that desperate right now. But then Mu Baining suddenly grabbed him, which completely confused Mu Xiaomo. Seeing her dazed look, Mu Xiaomo smiled helplessly. Okay, I'll stay here with you, I won't leave. Hearing his words, Mu Baining released his hand, and soon the sound of the girl's even breathing could be heard. Seeing this, Mu Xiaomo did not leave. Instead, she went to the hotel reception and asked for another summer blanket. After all, he still had to respect Mu Baining, so he didn't think too much about it. After taking a shower, he lay down next to Mu Baining and covered himself with the summer blanket. Because he doesn't wear many clothes in the summer, he was wearing clothes. After lying down, his gaze remained fixed on Mu Baining. He had to admit that the girl was sleeping soundly. Her breathing was exceptionally even. When Mu Xiaomo wasn't paying attention, she suddenly turned around and hugged him. This scene startled Mu Xiaomo. He even thought Mu Baining was doing it on purpose. This little girl, she wouldn't take advantage of being drunk to try and grope me, would she? However, upon seeing Mu Baining's delicate face, Mu Xiaomo couldn't help but smile like an ant. That's fine too, anyway. I'm not losing out. The next day at 6:30 in the morning, Mu Xiaomo yawned and took a deep breath. How did my arm disappear? At this moment, he felt no sensation in his arm. He turned his head and saw that Mu Baining had been pressing down on his arm all night. Then the blood flow stopped, and I went numb. Perhaps because she had been drinking last night, Mu Baining was still asleep. He'll be looking for him later. The student council needs to take attendance. Mu Baining told him that he must be on time for morning self-study. Otherwise, it would affect her salary. Although Mu Baining is a little rich girl, it affects class attendance. So he gently patted Mu Baining's shoulder and said softly, Professor Mu, don't sleep. You still have class today. Chapter 62, Liu Weiwei seems to have misunderstood something. Upon hearing Mu Xiaomo's voice, Mu Baining felt annoyed. She gently rubbed her eyes, and soon her beautiful eyes opened. Mu Baining was slightly taken aback when she saw Mu Xiaomo sitting next to her. What's going on? How did Mu Xiaomo end up by her side? She looked around again. Where was she? Seeing Mu Baining's unnatural gaze, Mu Xiaomo frowned slightly. Professor Mu, you're awake. You still have class today, so hurry up and wash up. We'll go downstairs to buy some food and then hurry back to school. Mu Baining's eyes darted around in their sockets. She actually slept with Mu Xiaomo. No, that couldn't have happened, could it? At this moment, Mu Baining was completely dumbfounded. She carefully recalled what happened last night. The two of them had a candlelight dinner together, and then she seemed to have asked Mu Xiaomo if there was a girl in his heart. Then the two of them seemed to have drunk a lot of alcohol. After that, I don't remember anything. Mu Baining couldn't help but ask, Little Mo, where are we? Upon hearing this, Mu Xiaomo chuckled. Professor Mu, you don't remember, do you? Seeing Mu Baining's dazed look, it seemed that this girl really didn't remember anything, so he said, You drank a bit too much last night, and then I helped you outside. Then you asked me if I wanted to go back to the dorm or find a hotel to stay in. I said I wanted to find a hotel, but when I was about to leave, you grabbed me and wouldn't let me go. Hearing this, Mu Baining was even more stunned. She actually grabbed Mu Xiaomo and wouldn't let him leave. Could I really do something like that? This is too surreal. Mu Baining's expression was not good. She continued to ask, Then, I didn't say anything confusing to you, did I? I did say that. Mu Xiaomo nodded. You said you would transfer your Western restaurant to me and then give me 1 million yuan. Hearing this, Mu Baining was even more stunned. How could she have said something like that? This is outrageous. The main thing is 1 million. Where is she going to get 1 million? With all her savings, She only has a little over 100,000 yuan, which she still needs to buy ingredients for her shop and pay her workers' wages. Seeing Mu Beining's current appearance, Mu Xiaomo burst out laughing. Haha, Professor Mu, I was just kidding. You didn't say anything last night. Okay, hurry up and wash up. Mu Beining was speechless. This brat of a brother actually dared to lie to her. Could it be that she's after her money? Mainly, I'm not rich myself. Mu Beining shook her head, not thinking much about it. She got up, went to the bathroom to wash up, and then went downstairs with Mu Xiaomo to check out of the room. Then the two of them bought some food at a random shop on the shopping street and returned to school. Since there was still morning self-study, Mu Xiaomo went back to the study room first. Mu Beining went to her dormitory first because she needed to put on makeup and other things. Her main lesson plan was still in her dormitory, and she would need it for class later. Mu Xiaomo swaggered into study room 601. At this moment, Huang Wengsu had already reserved a seat for him. Seeing Mu Xiaomo walk in, he waved to him. "Brother Mo, over here." Upon seeing his roommate, he walked straight over and sat down in his seat. Mu Xiaomo didn't come back all night yesterday. Mu Xiaomo must have been up to no good. So Huang Wengsu, with an you-know-what-I-mean expression than Bai Yuntao, raised an eyebrow at Mu Xiaomo. "Brother Mo, you didn't come back all night last night. What were you doing?" This, Mu Xiaomo rolled his eyes. He had expected these two guys to ask this question. Before Mu Xiaomo could answer, Huang Wengsu said with a wicked laugh, "Brother Mo, you didn't sleep with Professor Mu, did you? Holy crap, I'm so envious of you." "Get lost." Mu Xiaomo rolled her eyes. "Don't talk nonsense. Yesterday I went to dinner with a high school classmate and then I drank myself into oblivion and didn't come back. If you keep spouting nonsense, believe me, I'll slap your face until it's swollen." Tusk. After hearing Mu Xiaomo's words, Huang Wengsu chose to follow his heart. He had witnessed Mu Xiaomo's strength firsthand. She could even take down an instructor, so he couldn't afford to offend her. However, he still said to Bai Yuntao, "I feel like the person having dinner with him is a woman." "Bai Yuntao, I feel the same way." Mu Xiaomo's face darkened. "Damn, it seems I have to teach these two big shots a lesson." The self-study session started quickly, and Huang Wengsu and Bai Yuntao didn't bother him anymore. Of course, Mu Xiaomo wouldn't be foolish enough to reveal that Mu Beining had invited him to dinner. This will definitely affect Mu Beining, and Huang Wengsu is known for his big mouth. He might reveal this at any time. Let's wait until they officially become boyfriend and girlfriend, and Mu Beining is willing to make their relationship public, before making their relationship public. On the other side, Mu Beining dragged her tired body and opened the dormitory door. Perhaps because she drank a bit too much last night, she still feels a little dizzy. She also checked her body, and thankfully Mu Xiaomo didn't do anything to her. Mu Xiaomo's impression of him improved a lot. After all, she had seen far too many lecherous men, and they would reveal their intentions as soon as they spoke to her. But Mu Xiaomo is not that kind of person. After pushing open the door, Mu Beining walked straight in. At the same time, upon hearing the door open, Liu Weiwei turned her head sharply. Yesterday, Mu Beining told her that she was going to treat Mu Xiaomo to dinner. However, the fact that she didn't come back all night did surprise Liu Weiwei. After all, a girl's first time is very important. But after all, she's already 22 years old, and besides, she's given herself to Mu Xiaomo, so it's not a bad deal. Seeing Mu Beining return, and noticing that she seemed rather tired, Liu Weiwei revealed a mischievous smile. It seems Mu Xiaomo is quite capable. "Ning Ning, come back." "Yeah, I'm back, I'm exhausted." Mu Beining took a deep breath, quickened her pace to the bedside, and then sat down. "Phew, I'm so tired." Seeing this, Liu Weiwei said angrily, "HMPH, this Mu Xiaomo, did she hit so hard on the first try? Ning Ning, you had a tough time last night, Tilda." Mu Beining was taken aback upon hearing Liu Weiwei's words. "What's going on? What first time?" Liu Weiwei seems to have misunderstood something. Chapter 63. Oh, my two good boys, so well behaved. What are you saying?" Mu Beining was completely bewildered. Why was Liu Weiwei always thinking such nonsense? Liu Weiwei said, "Ning Ning, stop pretending. Look how tired you are, I can tell what happened between you two." Mu Beining suddenly sat up in bed. This Liu Weiwei was actually acting coy. Does she think of me as such a casual woman? What happened? Of course, it's with Mu Xiaomo. Liu Weiwei didn't say what she was going to say next. Instead, she made a gesture by making a circle with her left hand and inserting her right index finger into the circle. "Piston motion. A piston motion." Mu Beining rolled her eyes at Liu Weiwei. This bastard's imagination was so outrageous. She said disdainfully, "Why, is that how you see me?" Then Liu Weiwei was taken aback. She quickly asked, "Could it be that you just slept together and didn't do anything else?" "I stayed at the hotel last night. I just had a few drinks and felt a little dizzy." Weiwei stopped talking nonsense. "Oh, this." Seeing that Mu Baining hadn't returned all night, Liu Weiwei assumed that something had happened between her and Mu Xiaomo. Surprisingly, nothing happened. Mu Xiaomo is really bad at this Tilda. Liu Weiwei then asked, "So, you just had a meal together, did she confess her feelings to you?" When asked this question, Mu Baining's face suddenly turned red, because she couldn't help but think of the kiss Mu Xiaomo gave her forehead last night, and his words that he would make her keep him in her heart. Even now, thinking back on it gives me a tingling, numb feeling. Mu Baining couldn't help but say, he kissed me last night." Upon hearing this, Liu Weiwei immediately felt the urge to gossip. She asked, "He kissed you? Wow, is Mu Xiaomo that proactive? And then what? She didn't confess her feelings to you?" Mu Baining shook her head. "No, I was already drunk at the time, so I don't remember very clearly. Anyway," Mu Xiaomo's reaction was pretty good. That's good, that's good." Liu Weiwei's eyes welled up with tears. "Ning Ning, I really envy you. You'll be with Xiaomo soon. I wonder when my Prince Charming will arrive." "It will happen." Mu Baining comforted her for a moment, then said, "Don't tell anyone about me and Xiaomo, understand?" Liu Weiwei loves gossip so much that Mu Baining is very worried that she will spread rumors and reveal his and Mu Xiaomo's relationship. Even though the two of them haven't officially started dating yet, something as simple as inviting him to dinner can cause a huge uproar if it gets back to their classmates. Liu Weiwei nodded and made an okay sign. "Don't worry, Ning Ning, I'm not a blabbermouth. I definitely won't say anything." Mu Baining nodded. "I have class later, so I'll head over first." "Okay, bye-bye, Ning Ning." Liu Weiwei waved to Mu Baining, and soon Mu Baining left the dormitory with her lesson plan. At the same time, Liu Weiwei took out her phone, looked at her contacts, and her eyes immediately fell on Wang, the school doctor. Dr. Wang is indeed very handsome. He's only in his early 20s, a few years older than her. So Liu Weiwei clicked in and typed, "Dr. Wang, Ning Ning went out to dinner with Mu Xiaomo last night. She's about to find a boyfriend. I'm so envious." At noon, after finishing his classes in the morning, Mu Xiaomo went to the cafeteria with his roommate. During the journey, Huang Wenxu and Bai Yuntao continued to ask him about what happened last night. Then Mu Xiaomo slapped them both, and they became much more obedient. While queuing to buy food, his phone rang. Mu Xiaomo answered the call and held the phone to her ear. "Hello? Hello, young man." A middle-aged man's voice came from the other end of the phone. "This is Liu Erkyang. The freezer, smoothie maker, work table, sealing machine, water purifier, and other machines you ordered from me have been delivered. I'm outside the cafeteria right now. Do you have time to come over and unload them?" Upon hearing Liu Erkyang's words, Mu Xiaomo quickly replied, "Okay, I'll be right there. Please wait a moment." "Okay, sure." After hanging up the phone, Mu Xiaomo turned her attention to her three eldest sons. "Hey guys, can you go lend a hand?" He had previously told his roommates about asking them to help move the machine. The three of them said no in unison. After all, carrying something so heavy in this sweltering heat is just too damn tiring. Of course, Mu Xiaomo's three roommates would help out. After all, they were her roommates, so they had to arrange for her to have a permanent free milk tea. Du Yang asked, "Where are you going?" "I'm planning to open a cat cafe. The equipment I ordered online has arrived and is right outside the cafeteria. I need 3 of you to help me carry it." Upon hearing this, Huang Wenxu said with a look of disdain, "Even if you slapped me on the head just now, I would never go. Even if you called me dad, I still wouldn't go." "Bai Yuntao, me too, I'm not going." Mu Xiaomo was speechless. Damn, she didn't expect these two guys to hold a grudge. He then turned his attention to Du Yang. "Brother Yang, I know you wouldn't be like those 3 scoundrels, right? Please help me out." Du Yang thought for a moment, then said, "To be honest, I don't know either." Before he could finish speaking, Mu Xiaomo said, "From now on, you and your girlfriend can have as much milk tea as you want, free for life." His Tilda. Upon hearing this, Du Yang was immediately tempted. He grinned mischievously and said, "Whether it's milk tea or not doesn't matter. I just love working. My hands get itchy if I don't lift things for a day. But you can't lie to me, Tilda, from now on. Milk tea will be free for life." "No problem." Mu Xiaomo glanced at Huang Wenxu and said, "You two can buy food here. Du Yang and I will go." Upon hearing this, Huang Wenxu already felt a little regretful. Because he really loves milk tea, He'll definitely buy it a lot when he gets a girlfriend. If you could have something like Du Yang's, free for life, you could not only show off to girls, but also save a considerable amount of money. So Huang Wenxu grabbed Mu Zia Omo and said, "No, brother Mo, I was just saying that in anger. Look how fat I am. I should do some work to lose weight." Bai Yunta. Yeah, I'm so thin, moving some things can also help me get some exercise. Mu Zia Omo. These two guys are clearly just trying to get his milk tea for free. However, Mu Zia Omo is not as stingy as they are. He generously said, "Sure, call me dad and I'll let you go help." This, Huang Wenxu and Bai Yuntao's faces both darkened. "I'd do anything for free bubble tea for life." "Dad, Dad," the two of them said in unison. Mu Zia Omo exclaimed with delight, "Oh, my two darlings, so well behaved." Chapter 64 Mo Ji, are you going on another date with Professor Mu? Depend on. Huang Wenxu and Bai Yuntao's faces darkened. Looking at Mu Zia Omo's gloating expression, they wanted to punch him. But for the sake of free milk tea in the future, I can just bear with it. At this moment, Huang Wenxu rubbed his hands together and said with a greedy expression, "Then, Brother Mo, will I get free milk tea once I have a girlfriend?" Of course, Mu Zia Omo nodded quite readily, not taking his words seriously at all, because he felt that Huang Wenxu might not be able to find a girlfriend even after 4 years of university. So what's wrong with granting him a small request now? Bai Yuntao also spoke up. "What about me? What about me? Don't I have one too? All three of you get one. You get half-price tickets normally, and it's completely free if you bring your girlfriend. How about that? Isn't that generous enough?" Yes. All three of them smiled and nodded. If they don't have a girlfriend, they almost never buy this stuff, since milk tea is mostly bought by girls. Soon, led by Mu Zia Omo, they arrived outside the cafeteria. At that moment, a blue-plated van was parked here, and a man who looked to be in his 30s or 40s was standing next to the door. He was wearing a gray vest, had a very long beard, and wore a rough white knitted glove. He looked like a truck driver. Mu Zia Omo walked over, and at the same time Liu Erkyang also turned his gaze to him. "Hello, I am Mu Zia Omo." He went over and spoke, and Liu Erkyang nodded, taking a document. "This is the cargo list for the truck. Please check it. If there are no problems, you need to settle the freight charges." "Okay, sure." Mu Zia Omo nodded, opened the truck door, and tapped it lightly. There was no problem. Then he transferred the shipping fee to Liu Erkyang. The shipping fee wasn't much, just over 400 yuan. "Come on, brothers, lend a hand." Next, Mu Zio and his roommates unloaded the freezer, smoothie machine, and other items. These large items were extremely heavy, and they had to be moved from the stairwell to the basement. With many students coming and going at noon, they didn't finish unpacking until 1:30 p.m. Meanwhile, all four of them were already drenched in sweat from the heat. "Damn, this is so damn tiring." Huang Wenxu wiped the sweat from his forehead, sticking out his tongue. His clothes were soaked with sweat. Bai Yuntao and Du Yang weren't in much better shape, especially Bai Yuntao. This guy often went on dates with the five-finger girl at night, and since he was already thin and weak, his arms started shaking uncontrollably after lifting all those things. Seeing this, Mu Zia Omo quickly said, "Thank you all for your hard work. We don't have all the raw materials yet, so we can't make you any drinks right now. How about this? Just tell us what you'd like to eat for lunch today, and it'll be on me." Upon hearing this, Huang Wenxu waved his hand and said, "The food in the cafeteria is too cheap. Why don't you treat us to some barbecue and drinks this weekend, Brother Mo?" "Sure, it won't cost much for 4 people to have skewers and drinks. Even if we add a bowl of crayfish, it will only cost 400 or 500 yuan." Upon hearing Mu Zia Omo's agreement, Huang Wenxu, Bai Yuntao, and Du Yang all smiled, feeling that helping him today was worthwhile. After confirming that there were no problems, Mu Zia Omo locked the door and went to the first floor of the cafeteria. Since it was lunch break time, there were hardly any people in the cafeteria. Of course, there is still food available. Generally speaking, you can buy food at the cafeteria at any time. Since they didn't have classes for the first 2 periods in the afternoon, Mu Zia Omo and his roommate packed a meal together and returned to their dormitory. After finishing his meal, his roommates all went to bed. He had slept soundly in the hotel with Mu baning in his arms the night before, and he was wide awake at the moment. So he simply left the dormitory and came to the shop to pack some things. The store has been ventilated for the past few days, so the formaldehyde and other pollutants should have mostly dissipated. Looking at the store's pink and delicate decor, Mu Zia Omo is quite satisfied. Now the only things missing from the cat cafe are cats and the raw materials for milk tea. so he went to the school's supermarket and bought some fresh fruit for making fruit tea. His dad had also gotten the Cat Cafe business license for him a while ago. Muzaya downloaded a recruitment app and planned to hire a few employees for the Cat Cafe. For shops like this, business is only busy during breaks between classes, lunch breaks, evenings, and weekends, so you can hire 2 permanent staff and 2 temporary part-time staff. The 2-shift work system is quite reasonable. Many students at the school are looking for part-time jobs. After posting his shop position, job content, and salary on recruitment software, several students quickly contacted him for inquiries. They were all students at the Magic University, including upperclassmen in their 2nd and 3rd years, as well as his classmates from the same year. Muzaya paid 15 yuan per hour, mainly for working at noon in the evening and on weekends. This wage is not bad for students who work part-time. After agreeing on the interview time, he took a deep breath and felt much more relaxed. I'll be able to make money soon, and from then on, I'll be financially independent. Although the shop's location isn't great, its milk tea tastes absolutely top-notch in the Magic University area, and with the attraction of many cats, how could it not have a steady stream of customers? However, there are no cats yet. Just as Muzaya was thinking about this, the system's voice suddenly appeared. Congratulations, host, you have triggered a mission. Before midnight tonight, go to the pet store to reserve 1 golden shaded cat, 1 silver shaded cat, 3 British shorthair American shorthair cats, 2 Garfield cats, and 3 ragdoll cats. Reward for completing the mission: Super Robot Terminal Technology Skill. Muzaya was taken aback upon hearing the system's voice. Super Robot Terminal Technology Skills, what is that? Judging from the name, it seems pretty impressive. As for the task itself, it's very simple. Just go to the pet store to reserve 10 cats. It's no big deal. After class in the afternoon, you can just go to a pet store near the school. Thinking of this, Muzaya smiled, feeling that her college life was becoming more and more interesting. The fact that he was bound to the system, in particular, brought him a lot of fun. Without much thought, he quickly returned to his dormitory, woke up his eldest son, and left with his college English textbook. English wasn't difficult for Muzaya. He had been interested in programming since he was a child, and his father had enrolled him in some programming classes. He had also written code, which was why he chose robotics as his major. At 5:30 p.m., the students in the class left the English classroom. Huang Wenxu, Bai Yuntao, and Du Yang all stood up at the same time, and Huang Wenxu's gaze fell on Muzaya. Brother Mo, let's go to the cafeteria for lunch. Damn, I've been in class all day and I'm starving. Muzaya threw the textbook at Huang Wenxu and said, I'm not going. I have something to do. Don't worry about me, just go and eat. Tusk, tusk, tusk. After hearing Muzaya words, Huang Wenxu clicked his tongue twice. Brother Mo, are you going on another date with Professor Mu? Chapter 65, A Passerby Mission, Life-Threatening. Upon hearing this, Muzaya rolled her eyes at him with disdain. What was Huang Wenxu thinking all day? It's like he can't live without Mu Baining. He said, stop talking nonsense. I'm going to the pet store outside the school to check out some cats. Want to come with me? This, Huang Wenxu shook his head. As a complete couch potato, he was too lazy to go out. I'm not going. Besides, I'm allergic to cats. I'd rather go back and play games with Tao Ji after I finish eating. Upon hearing this, Bai Yuntao rolled his eyes. Use your Zhao Xin to just go around killing people. Ah, right. Huang Wenxu chuckled while Bai Yuntao added, sorry, I misspoke. It was your Zhao Xin who got slaughtered by the enemy jungler. Muzaya didn't waste time arguing with them and quickly left the campus alone. Along the way, several girls added him on WeChat, but Muzaya rejected them all, using the excuse that he already had a girlfriend. School had just ended, and there were quite a few students on the commercial street opposite the school. Muzaya wandered around the area and found that there wasn't a single pet store. This shouldn't be the case. Logically speaking, this is a university town with several universities nearby, so how could there not be a pet store? There are so many girls who like kittens these days. It would be ridiculous if there weren't any pet stores. Helpless, he had no choice but to open his phone and search for the nearest pet store on a map app. The search quickly yielded results. The map showed a pet shop called Meow Meow Meow, 5 km away. The shop is named Meow Meow Meow, so it must be related to kittens. However, this distance is outrageous. It's actually that far. But there's no way around it. This task has to be completed before midnight. He tried to hail a taxi directly from the unethical map app, since this was a university town and there were plenty of taxis available. But for a moment, he couldn't get one. Helpless, Musayomo had no choice but to turn her attention to the shared electric bicycles on the roadside. 2 yuan for 15 minutes is not expensive. It's 5 kilometers from the destination, and it only costs 4 yuan to get there, which is much more affordable than the starting price of 10 yuan for a taxi. So Musayomo rode the Ame shared scooter, wearing a helmet towards the My Omiameo pet shop. About 20 minutes later, he arrived at the Meow 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 pet store. Just as he expected, it was a cattery that mainly sold various pet cats, cat litter, and cat food. He parked the scooter by the roadside, took off his helmet, and walked straight into the store. Meow tilde, meow tilde, gurgle gurgle. As soon as she stepped inside, Musayomo heard the meows of many cats. The store was quite large, with the main hall alone measuring 50 or 60 square meters. There were many transparent glass cases in the hall, and kittens were placed inside. When Musayomo went in, the kittens started purring. I took a quick look and found that they have a wide variety of cat breeds, including golden shaded, silver shaded, British Shorthair, American Shorthair, Ragdoll, and even Siamese cats. There are even Persian cats and Sphinx cats. Of course, there are no Scottish fold cats. Nowadays, catteries generally won't sell folded ear cats with congenital diseases. Owning a folded ear cat would be a lot of suffering for both the cat and the owner. Hello, welcome. Upon seeing a customer enter, a well-dressed saleswoman approached. She looked to be around 30 years old, wearing a white shirt, black trousers, and her hair in a bun. She was looking at Musayomo with a professional smile. Hello, sir, are you here to see the cats or to buy cat food? She placed her hand below her navel and said very respectfully, Come and see the cat. Musayomo smiled and said, Come and see the cat. She nodded slightly. Have you ever had any experience raising cats before? Yes, Musayomo smiled. I had a British Shorthair cat before, but it's gone to cat heaven now. This cat is for the cat cafe, so I have high requirements for it. Upon hearing Musayomo's words, the sales clerk was secretly delighted. If used in a cat cafe, then, he would have to buy at least 5 or 6 cats. Sir, please come with me. Let me introduce you to the cat. Stop thief, stop thief. Just then, a cry of surprise suddenly came from outside. Ding, congratulations to the host for triggering a random passerby mission. This mission is Heroic Act. Mission objective: apprehend the thief who stole from the jewelry store and hand him over to the police. Note: there is a certain degree of danger to his life. Task rewards: 10,000 cash, 1 lucky bag. The sudden mission left Musayomo somewhat bewildered. Good heavens, what era is this? There are still people stealing jewelry stores in broad daylight. Without a second thought, Musayomo dashed out. The saleswoman was about to introduce the cats to Musayomo, but when she turned her head, wait, where was that handsome guy from before? How did the person disappear? Meanwhile, outside, after Musayomo left the shop, she saw a policeman in a blue uniform chasing a man in black. The man in black, wearing a black duck on his head, ran incredibly fast. The police officers behind him were no match for him in terms of stamina. In the blink of an eye, the man in black disappeared around the corner of an alley. Just then, the system's voice appeared. Host, the thief is currently located approximately 443 meters to your due west. 445 meters. 448 meters. The system has started broadcasting the thief's detailed location, and the system's semi-transparent panel has also opened. At this time, there is a pointed tip on the panel that looks like a navigation tool to guide him. Seeing this, Musayomo was completely dumbfounded. Damn, that's awesome. With this gift, he had no reason to refuse. In fact, money didn't matter. He mainly wanted to make a contribution to society. Without much thought, Musayomo dashed out with lightning speed, even faster than Liu Xiang. Having drunk the potion once, his physical strength, explosive power, and speed were now beyond the reach of ordinary people. Moreover, he knew the thief's location, so to him, the thief was already in jail. Musayomo quickly overtook the policeman who had just been chasing the thief, but he ignored him. After running about 500 meters, the arrow suddenly turned and pointed north. This was a particularly dark alleyway, with garbage cans overflowing and flies swarming around black garbage bags. There was also a faint stench in the air. Distance from the thief's location, 20 meters. Chapter 66, Brother, have you ever experienced the taste of a cracked egg? 20 meters. Musayomo was taken aback, looking at the dark alleyway where there was no sign of the thief. Directly in front of him was not a dead end, but a narrow path that led through the alley. However, because the environment was so bad, no one bothered to walk along the path. With the weather getting colder and the days getting shorter, the light was particularly poor, and the surroundings were somewhat dark. Looking at the scene in front of her, Muzaya Omo took a deep breath and then slowly moved her feet towards the inside. 10 meters away, 5 meters away. The system kept telling him how close he was to the thief. Just as he was about to reach a corner, a sharp knife gleaming with a cold light suddenly stabbed out. Extremely fast, Muzaya Omo instinctively stretched her neck back, her eyes immediately focusing on the fruit knife. Thank goodness, it was only a few centimeters away. No wonder the system said there was danger. At this moment, the streetlight behind him cast a long shadow, indicating that the robber was hiding here, watching his shadow to launch a sneak attack. What a lack of sportsmanship. I never imagined he had already decided to kill me. Seeing that he had failed, the owner of the knife appeared in front of Muzaya Omo. This is a man who is about 175 cm tall, wearing a baseball cap, a black mask, and has a scar near his eye. You could tell from his eyes that he was full of hostility and was definitely not a good person. The man in black thought it was the police, which is why he did this. When he saw that it was Muzaya Omo, he stared at him intently. Then he turned and ran. Muzaya Omo quickly chased after him. There were many trash cans, old bicycles, and some wooden planks in the stairwell. After running for 200 meters, the thief realized that he was not as fast as Muzaya Omo, so he pushed aside the surrounding obstacles as he ran to intercept Muzaya Omo. However, Muzaya Omo always managed to leap over them with ease, her speed unaffected in the slightest. The thief was also feeling particularly bitter. Damn it, he hadn't expected that after shaking off that old policeman, a silly young man would follow him. He kept running, knowing that Muzaya Omo would catch up. There was a wall not far ahead. As a robber who had been stealing for many years, he was now incredibly agile. Climbing over a 3-meter wall was incredibly easy. Soon the thief arrived at the wall. The wall was covered in graffiti of various colors, with incomprehensible English characters sprayed on it. Muzaya Omo knew this was a good opportunity, so he quickened his pace. To his surprise, the thief suddenly jumped towards the wall, used his feet to gain leverage, stretched out his arm, grabbed the top edge of the wall, and easily flipped over. "Oh, trash." The thief, Chen Wei, shrugged, muttered something, then reached into his pocket and pulled out the gold necklace he had just stolen from the jewelry store. The gold necklace was worth over 60,000 yuan. Just as he was feeling smug, he heard a thud as it fell to the ground behind him. Chen Wei turned his head, his brows furrowing involuntarily, his eyes filled with impatience. He looked at Muzaya Omo with icy eyes, then pulled out the fruit knife again. Seeing this, Muzaya Omo took a deep breath. This guy is absolutely ruthless. He quickly prepared for defense, and at the same time, without saying a word, Chen Wei shouted "Ha!" and stabbed at Muzaya Omo with a fruit knife. Whoosh, whoosh. A cold glint flashed before him, and because he held a knife, Muzaya Omo naturally dared not confront him head-on. There's a saying that goes, even the best kung fu master is afraid of a kitchen knife. Having dodged Chen Wei's 2 attacks, Muzaya Omo prepared to counterattack. The situation is rather unusual. The priority is to remove the dagger from his hand or find a suitable weapon. So Muzaya Omo quickly stepped back, creating distance between herself and Chen Wei, looked around and picked up a cracked washboard. This washboard was probably thrown away by a neighbor. It's cracked and damp, but it's still usable. A washboard is much longer than a dagger, so dealing with him shouldn't be too difficult. Judging from Chen Wei's skills, he probably isn't very good. Seeing Muzaya Omo's look of wanting to fight him, Chen Wei said in a hoarse voice, "I advise you not to be ungrateful. If you mess with me, you'll definitely suffer the consequences." "Heh, you're about to go to jail, shut the fuck up." Muzaya Omo was too lazy to chat with him, so she grabbed a washboard and slapped it across his face. At the same time, Chen Wei quickly bent down to avoid it. Whoosh, whoosh. The sound of air being cut came from the air. Because the washboard was quite long, Chen Wei couldn't attack Muzaya Omo for a moment. Oh shit. He was so angry he was grinding his teeth, so he quickly distanced himself from Muzaya Omo, then aimed at Muzaya Omo's forehead and threw the fruit knife in his hand. Whoosh, whoosh. The fruit knife, gleaming with a cold light, circled several times in the air before, with a thud, piercing the washboard in his hand. Muzaya Omo was delighted to see this. Was this thief out of his mind? He actually threw away the knife in his hand at this moment. What a fucking idiot. Then Muzaya Omo pulled out the knife and raised the washboard again, slapping it at his head. Bang! This time, Chen Wei didn't dodge, and the entire washboard slapped him across the face. Musayo Omo was slightly taken aback. Good heavens, it actually hit him this time. Could it be that I'm moving too fast? Startled by the shout, Chen Wei's baseball cap fell to the ground, and he immediately felt dizzy. Shaking his head, Chen Wei's face contorted with rage. He suddenly reached out and grabbed Musayo Omo's arm, glaring fiercely at him. His eyes were filled with hatred. Musayo Omo wasn't worried when he grabbed her, mainly because the guy wasn't very strong. Or perhaps it's because I'm too strong. A smile appeared on his lips, and then he said casually, "Brother, have you ever experienced the taste of a cracked egg?" "What?" Before Chen Wei could react, he suddenly raised his knee. It rammed hard into his crotch. Snap! Because his legs were spread apart, Musayo Omo's thrust hit his vital point